What's going on, everybody? Another Friday night start sit stream. Absolutely a great fantasy football season, and even better, y'all hanging out with me tonight. So excited to dive into every start sit question I can answer for you tonight. And starting off, Jeff comes in here with the first question of the night. He says, should I play Mason and flex Kenneth Walker, or bench Mason, start Walker, and flex pop Douglas? Jeff, you ask a great question. And the main reason right now, way I'm looking at things here tonight is, of course, Mason's going up against this crazy front seven for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I understand why you might potentially want to bench Mason for a guy like Pop Douglas, who I talk about in my video today. Absolutely love some Pop Douglas. But honestly, Jeff, I am still going with Kenneth Walker and going with Jordan Mason as my stars this week over Pop Douglas, even though I do think Pop Douglas is in a good spot. Shout out to you, boy. You said, I need 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex, full PPR, Mason, A-Chain, Hubbard, Chase Brown. Wide receivers are Adams, Ayuk, Tyreek Hill, and Kirk. So we need 2. Honestly, we got Hubbard and Devon higher than Mason. So I'm going with those 2 for my running back. In regards to wide receivers, I will be going with Brandon Ayuk and Devontae Adams. So then that kind of leads Tyreek Hill for me. And then that also leaves, who are we missing? Mason for me as the main level options here. And so for me personally, I would lean, even though it's a rougher game script for Mason, I do lean Mason over Tyreek Hill there, ya boy. So I would be going with Mason, A-Chain, Hubbard, Adams, and Ayuk. And I understand benching Tyreek Hill, you never feel great about it, but we do need to see some better quarterback play from this Dolphins offense. And shout out to you guys already coming in with the super chats here tonight. Absolutely. Shout out to y'all. Eddie, appreciate you. Thank you so much for the 5. You said, what's up, Caleb? Standard league, Sermon or Goodson with JT out. You also have B-Rob. If he's out, then we're going with, or both Colts running backs. Then we're going with the defense. Okay, Eddie, let's go dive into this. And I appreciate the super chat. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. Like I said, guys, if you guys want, the best free way to support the channel is by hitting that like button and hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. But of course, we do take super chats first in these start sit streams. So shout out to Eddie for being here. You said, so between Sermon or Goodson, honestly, I'm leaning, I know I have pushed Tyler Goodson up my rankings, but I still do have Sermon a little bit higher. So I would personally be going with Sermon this week. I understand the concerns with this overall offense, especially with Anthony Richardson, but I would personally be going with Trey Sermon over Goodson. But even like if we look at Goodson the last 2 weeks, it's been decent. I mean, 39 and 41% snap share. He logged 12 total touches in week 6. So I hear you. It's definitely a decision, but I do still lean that Sermon side. And then regards to if you need that second running back, I personally would lean with Gibson as my second running back there. And then in regards to your defense, you said San Francisco, Rams, or Green Bay. I don't think I can tell you in a good mind to start Green Bay this week. So really it comes down to the Rams versus San Francisco. And for me, I kind of lean that Rams versus that Vegas matchup. I think that's going to be the best one because I don't think I can tell you to start San Francisco as they're going up against Kansas City, Eddie. Thanks so much for being here, and thanks so much for supporting the channel. Trix, appreciate you. Said hitting the Javonte Williams shuffle. Trix, you have been the one guy in the streams, in the chat, always talking about how you're so excited to see the advantages of a guy like Javonte Williams. It really happened yesterday. Shout out to anybody that started Javonte and or the Broncos defense. If you started Cortland Sutton last night, you're probably lacking a little bit, but thanks so much for the 2 there. Tricks. It's Tommy G says, what's up, Caleb? Yes, shout out TGI Fridays. Anyway, with the matchup this week, would you start May over Kyler this week? Listen, I talked about May in my video today, and they are between 2 spots in my rankings. I have Kyler Murray pushed down all the way to my QB 13, but I do have Drake May as my QB 16. So for me personally, it's Tommy. I'm still leaning Kyler Murray, but if you said, hey, I'm rolling with Drake May, I'm rolling with the hot hand, I don't think I can blame you at all for that. So definitely it's close, but I still go with Kyler this week. James said, start Mason, A-Chain, or Jacobs. Mason was a full participant. James, I don't know if you saw me. I think I responded to this question on a video on already, maybe, potentially. Or maybe you only asked me one, but now I get to pick all 3. So personally for me, I do go with I go with Mason and Josh Jacobs for me personally. I understand Mason, it's a bad matchup versus Kansas City. I just trust the volume and the offense being able to move a little bit more than that Miami offense with Devon. I do think Devon is a sneaky upside shot this week, but personally for me, I do go with Mason and Jacobs there. Appreciate you, James. Thanks so much for always supporting the channel. And we got Anthony. He says, what's up, Caleb? How's everybody doing tonight? Hope everyone's doing good. Hope everyone's having a good Friday night. Absolutely pumped to be here and help you guys win and answer all your start sit questions. Anthony said, so I'm convinced no one to trade in my league anymore. Yeah, I feel like right now what's happening is, and you guys can even see it, like once we kind of hit this week 7 area, a lot of people just start to give up on their fantasy football teams. So a lot of people don't want to be doing trades. A lot of people don't want to be interacting. A lot of people aren't pushing for the chip because they kind of feel like they're out of it at this point. So it's kind of sad, but it kind of happens each and every year. Trix said, yo, Caleb, should I play Tank Bigsby or Josh Jacobs? Might be a stupid question, but I'm leaning towards Jacobs. Thanks, Trix. I would 100% be playing Josh Jacobs this week. I have Josh Jacobs as a top 14 running back. I do, just to give you an idea of where I have Tank Bigsby here in my rankings. Let me pull it up. I have Tank Bigsby as my RB20 this week, so eight spot difference, Trix, but I still lean that Josh Jacobs side for sure. Todd, appreciate you being here. You said, hey, Caleb, Murray or May? Ooh, Todd, a few of you guys have these Murray versus May. I'm sure you picked up Drake May because Kyler Murray hasn't been performing up to par. I do have that 2-spot difference there, Todd. So I personally lean Kyler Murray, but would understand if you decide to roll with the hot hand. I also don't like playing quarterbacks in the London game. The London game just has been really weird this year. So I kind of lean going with Kyler. I do have Drake May as someone that I think has a ton of upside, like even breaking out more than he did last week. I can see it, but in my rankings that I have Kyler Murray ahead. N Savvy said flex 1 PPR, Chase Brown, Tank Dell, Douglas, Hunt, Chubb, or BTJ. N Savvy coming in with an absolute banger of a question. And my wife always makes fun of the way that I do say that. So we got Chase. Where do I have Chase Brown relative to Hunt? I personally would be going with Kareem Hunt here this week. And Savvy, I like the matchup. I think he does get the volume that you're looking for. And the fact that you have all these options, insane. And Savvy, honestly, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you can try to package 2 of those guys to get more of a stud, I think that's going to be a major win for you in the win column if you can do that. EKZ said, in a must-win now mode for the next 2 weeks until CMC comes back, who would you rather have, Chase Brown or Kareem Hunt? Personally, that's a hard one because Kareem Hunt's only valued until Isaiah Pacheco comes back. It really doesn't matter what Zach Moss does because Chase Brown's kind of overtaken him. So I personally I think Kareem Hunt has more upside until, for 2 more weeks. So I lean Kareem Hunt personally there, EKZ. Jay Will said, do you think Pacheco is going to actually come back this year? And if so, regular season or only the fantasy football playoffs? Yeah, that's a great question, Jay Will. I think a lot of people I've seen people say, oh, Isaiah Pacheco's coming back in week 9. Like, from all my reports and everything that I've seen from doctors on Twitter and seen from team reports, they're hearing week 13-ish. And maybe I've gotten wrong information. So like I said, I'm not 100% affluent with this current situation, but I don't feel like I am banking on Isaiah Pacheco coming back in time for you to save your regular season. So if you do have Isaiah Pacheco, you just better hope that you make the fantasy football playoffs. That's kind of how I'm viewing it there, Jay Will. Right there with you. Anthony said start 2, Pittman Jr., Shakir, Mooney, or Pop Douglas. So Mooney's for sure one of them, and then I'm just double-checking rankings right now to make sure I don't miss or remember where I have Pop Douglas and then where I have Shakir. Yeah, I think we are going... Yeah, we're not going with Shakir. We're going with Pop Douglas over Shakir, but where do I have Pittman? Personally, for me, I would be going with Pop Douglas and Mooney, Anthony. We kind of have to monitor a little bit of Michael Pittman Jr. because he didn't practice today with a back injury. So I would just kind of continue to monitor Michael Pittman Jr. But currently at this moment, I would go with Mooney and Pop Douglas there, Anthony. PRF said, I did what you said and teared up in quarterback. I got Jalen Hurts for Kyler Murray and Puka. Let's go. I know you got a loaded team. If anyone, PRF had a ton of different wide receivers. So it feels like an L, but if you know his team, then you know that this is going to be a dub for him going forward. So get that points per game advantage, Anthony. Or PRF, let's get you back in good standing. Fries, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute. You said start Drake May or Geno at quarterback, leaning towards May after Geno had a bad week last week. Well, the matchup for Geno is exceptional this week. So I personally lean Geno Smith. I have him as a top 10 quarterback this week versus Atlanta. I have Drake May, like we said, as my QB 16. So it's like 6 spots apart. I personally, like I said, still lean that Geno side. But man, seeing that Konami code quarterback rushing upside for a guy like Drake May does feel really good there, Fries. So personally, I don't think you can go super wrong. But if I were you, I would personally go with Geno. Anthony said, look at my boy Caleb looking fresh in all black Nike. Yeah. Shout out to Anthony. Shout out to Anthony. Thank you, man. You know, it's the jump show. I'm about to get out there on the basketball court and just absolutely tear it up. Tingley said, what up, Caleb? Just saw your breakout in Sleepers vid. Hey, Tingley, thanks so much for tuning in. Like I said, guys, we put out that breakouts in Sleepers vid. I got a stash video coming out tomorrow. We will not be streaming tomorrow night. So tonight, like I said, we streamed on Wednesday. We're streaming tonight, answering all your start sit questions to help you win. But of course, answering all my comments and all my videos as well. Eddie and Trix, thank you both so much for the super chats, helping out the channel so much. Jay Will said 12-team half PPR. Team is Hurts, Brees, Monty, Pacheco, Dowdle, Mostert, Braylon, Devontae, Higgins, McLaurin, J-Mo, Jacoby, Ferguson, Goddard. Thoughts on the team? Any moves? Yeah, I think you got a good squad. I think the biggest thing is just the Devontae trade honestly helped you. I know we've been worried about your wide receiver position, but the breakout for McLaurin, Higgins looking good, and then Devontae getting traded definitely really helps. So I'm continuing to just ride this out there, Jay Will. Fry said, is Kamara a good trade away? Think about getting Bijan in a wide receiver for him in my league. How do you feel about Kamara's production moving forwards? That is a great question there, Fries. If we're looking at my rest of season rankings, I do have Alvin Kamara as a top 6 running back. Now, he did have that underwhelming Thursday night football game. So trying to sell him straight up for Bijan plus might be a little bit hard right now. Like I said, I have Bijan ahead of Alvin Kamara rest of season. So you might only be able to trade him straight up for Bijan, which I'd be cool with. But if you can get Bijan plus for Alvin Kamara, then 100% Fries, I'd be willing to do that in your league. Kyle said, Love or Cousins? I would be going with Jordan Love. And then Chubb or Dobbs, full flex. Listen, the Nick Chubb love. I understand we all are excited to see Nick Chubb back. Hear me out. I get it. He's practiced the last 3 weeks. I just am worried about playing a running back coming off of major ACL, MCL type reconstructions. I know this dude is Superman. I understand that, Kyle. I just don't think I can tell you in the right mind to roll out. You know, Nick Chubb could pop off this week. He 100% could. And if that's the case, then you got a bona fide RB2, high-end RB2 rest of the season. But I think for me, I don't want to risk it for the biscuit. I will be putting in Romeo Dubs this week and kind of going from there, Kyle. So Love for me and Dubs. And can you kind of get the stack there too? That's nice. And then Kyle said, everyone hit the like button. Appreciate that. Thanks for pumping up the channel. And he said, let's blow this up. Everyone hit the like button. Appreciate it, Kyle. Shout out to Charles. Said, full PPR, I need a flex. Mason, Chase Brown, or Darnell Mooney. Thanks, Charles. I think I'm just going to tell everybody to start Jordan Mason. And maybe I'm exceptionally high on him this week, knowing he's going up against this Kansas City front seven that's absolutely been demolishing, causing chaos for other running backs, not really being able to get a ton on the ground. I understand all that, but I still do want Jordan Mason here as a flex option. Jay Wells said, team is Allen, Gibbs, ETN, Javonte. Really want to trade for Jacobs or Devon. Any ideas? Personally, I mean, if you can sell high off of Javonte after this week and do like a Javonte, Deontay Johnson for either of those guys, I'm really cool with a trade like that, Jay Will. Fantasy Football Girl says, hey, Caleb, full PPR Singletary or Xavier Legette for flex? I guess I did not get an update. Are we sure that Devin Singletary is playing this week? Is he off the injury report? Did anyone know? Let me quickly double check. Yes, he is off the injury report. So that is good news. So what? He had a limited practice on what? Yeah. Okay. So personally, we're looking at Devin Singletary or Xavier Legette. I think I'm going to go with Devin Singletary, but don't quote me on this yet. We're pulling up flex rankings. Okay, wait. Where do I have Xavier Legette relative? Yep. Man, I'm scrolling Fantasy Football Girl. Like I said, guys, appreciate all the patience as I'm over here in the sheets, getting dirty in the spreadsheets. But I'd be going with Devin Singletary there, Fantasy Football Girl. Hopefully we can get you a win this week after losing to your husband last week. Fries said, you helped me last year and this year for fantasy. Keep up the great work. Appreciate it, Fries. Appreciate it. Dab, appreciate you. So you have Devontae Smith, Gibbs, Mixon, Debo, Reed, Pollard. Which two of these would you trade for Saquon? Personally, I want to hold Debo and Reed. And I want to hold Mixon and Gibbs. So if you could do Pollard and Devontae Smith, that's what I would do there, Dab. JM said, in a full PPR for my flex, should I start Dobbins, Debo, or Brian Thomas Jr.? JM, I am currently leaning towards Debo Samuel. You got some good options there. I have Brian Thomas a little bit lower this week than I had in past weeks. And then I do have just Debo pretty good, pretty high. So roll with Debo this week because it should be a good matchup between Kansas City and San Francisco. High scoring game, touchdown upside for Debo. Packers fan said pick 2 full PPR. Whittington. Oh, we are in the mud. I love you, Packers fan. Whittington, Vidal, Braylon, Booty, Sterling Shepard, McMillan. If Evans is out, yeah. I mean, if Evans is out, I will 100% lean with going with Sterling Shepard, and then I would go personally with Braylon Allen. But assuming that Evans is going to play, I then lean Braylon and Vidal. I'd go with the 2 running backs, Packers fan. So that's kind of how I'm leaning. Like I said, if Evans is out, then I 100% would play that. And so what you're going to have to do, Packers fans, you're going to have to be checking the reports tomorrow and Sunday morning on how Mike Evans is doing. Because, like I said, that Monday Night Football game, if you own Mike Evans, kind of puts you in a difficult spot. So definitely be monitoring the practice report. And if you have a question tomorrow, feel free to comment on my video tomorrow, and I'll give you an update on what I'm thinking. Thanks so much. Player 02 said PPR 12-man, Leggett or Shakir this week. I personally will be going with Xavier Leggett. I know there's still the possibility that Amari Cooper doesn't play for the Buffalo Bills this week, but I will be going with Leggett, having about 4 spots higher than I do with Khalil Shakir. And the fantasy football girl says, I did the Broncos defense. That's 100% what we love to see. Congrats on doing that. I had that yesterday too. And you know what would have made it even better, fantasy football girl, if the Broncos would have scored 2 touchdowns instead of 1. Would have been great. Doxy says, hey, Caleb, I'm 5-1 right now and had a Broncos defense last night. Just wanted to check in and say hi. Hey, Doxy, keep crushing it, bro. That's huge. That's huge. Thanks so much for tuning in, Doxy. Appreciate the love. Kevin said, Caleb sit 2, Tyreek, BTJ, Ayuk, Juju, and Wandell. Hard decisions. So we gotta sit 2. Personally, for me, I think you're going to have – this is one where I feel comfortable starting Tyreek, BTJ, and Ayuk, and I will be sitting Juju and Wandell, which sounds like an absolute sin there, Kevin, for me to tell you to do that. But I personally, like I said, I have – and maybe my Ayuk ranking is – I understand it's doubtful, but I like Juju this week. I do. Wandell with Malik Neighbors going to be back. Pushes him down my rankings a little bit. So I go with Tyreek, BTJ, and Ayuk. But I understand the Tyreek and Ayuk not performing as of recently, Kevin, is a little scary for you. And your boy said, who would you start, AR or Darnold? I will start Darnold this week over AR. I feel pretty confident in that one. I mean, Darnold's been looking good. So no reason. I have him as a top 8. If you tuned into my must start video, your boy, I have Sam Darnold. I said, in a lot of your start sit decision, I will lean Sam Darnold over like the stud level quarterbacks. Lethal Jake says, what do you have Sam Darnold ranked this week? I have him as my QB7, so I have him pretty high. Applecod said, hey, Caleb, need major help with who to start this week. 1 QB, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Stroud, Richardson, Jay Cook, Etienne, Mattson, Sermon, Chubb, Douglas, Juju, Amari Cooper, and Pex. Okay. So one quarterback, I will be going with CJ Stroud over Richardson. I have CJ Stroud lower, but I still have him ahead of Richardson. Then in regards to your 2 running backs, I will still roll out James Cook. And then I hate to tell you to roll out Applecott. I hate to tell you to roll out some Travis Etienne, but I just don't know how I can not tell you to roll out Travis Etienne with your running back situation currently. I know he's questionable right now, so let me see where he's at. He could be a game-time decision. So hypothetically, I would start James Cook and Etienne, but if you cannot start Etienne, then I would start Mattson. And then in regards to your wide receivers, I personally would be starting Juju and Amari, assuming Amari plays. So you might be in a spot where If Amari doesn't play, because I know there was questions if he's going to play this week, then you're just stuck playing Juju and Demario Douglas. And then you got Parkinson as your tight end. So then I would just roll out Sermon as the flex. But assuming that Amari Cooper's going to play, then I'd play Amari, Demario Douglas, and then I would flex Juju over Sermon, if that makes sense, Applecod. Appreciate you. James said, sorry, start one of those. You got Ken Walker. What was James's question here? Let me find it. Sorry, James, you had to comment, and I went flying on by. You said start Mason. Oh, start one of those. Oh, I got you. I would start out of all those. I would start Jacobs personally there, James. Appreciate you tuning in. VR18 says, sup, Caleb, start Tank Bigsby or Juju in full PPR. VR, I will be going with Tank Bigsby over Juju this week. I loved what we saw out of Juju last week, and I'm glad that you have Juju stashed. But personally, for me, I will still be going with Tank Bigsby over Juju this week. Appreciate you, VR. Truffle season. Shout out to Truffle for being here. And oh my goodness, I forgot to add the background music. Y'all, chill. Element isn't here. He forgot to hype me up, tell me to play his music. So shout out to Element for letting us run his beats in the background. Truffle said, Devon, Amari, Tyreek, Zay, or Deontay, PPR pick 2. Wow, you got quite a loaded roster there, Truffle, to decide in your flex spots. So let me pull up my flex rankings for you. Zay Flowers is probably going to be one of these because I am higher on Zay this week. Let me go through this. So we're looking, I do like Deontay too this week. I do have Deontay pretty high. But Deontay, he's dealing with an ankle and he's questionable. So honestly, I would do Deontay and then I would do Zay. But it just depends on Deontay being injured or not. So if Deontay is injured their truffle season, then I would go with A-Chain as my third option if those two guys are injured. So, like I said, Deontay, Zay, Devon. Lethal said sit 1 PPR. James Cook, Monty, Devon A-Chain, Marvin Harrison Jr. if he plays. Yeah, I think we're going to have to Lethal. I think I'm benching Marvin Harrison Jr. this week. Personally, if I'm you. I do have Devon ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr., but we'll have to see coming back from that concussion what he looks like. Your boy said full PPR. Who would you drop for Bigsby? Tolbert, Leggett, Hopkins, Mostert. Mostert for me. Who I would drop. Depends on like if you need the wide receivers. If you want to hold on to Mostert, I understand. Then I'd be cool to drop a guy like a Hopkins. How much fab out of 200 would you spend on Bigsby? I'd probably spend like $50, 50 to 65, depending. Because I think he's gonna be good. I just don't know like league winning good. Yeah, boy, that's kind of where I'm leaning. James said, I had someone offer me CMC and Kincaid today for my Mason. I accepted it and my league vetoed it. So tough. Yeah, I hate when people propose that and then your league vetoes suck. And I understand why we do it in redraft. I really do, because there are people that just throw in the tile to their league mates or to their coworkers. But sorry that you had to do that. I would try to make it closer, like propose something back to help make it. But if they decline it again, then they just hate you. Bocce said, who would you start between Downs, Douglas, Matson, and Algier? Half point PPR. Personally, for me, I will be starting Douglas and Alexander Madison. Now, the issue, Bocce, is I would love to tell you to start Josh Downs, but we got Anthony Richardson coming back. So if Josh Downs pops off this week, then 100% Josh Downs becomes someone that's 100% startable rest of the season. But until I see it with Anthony Richardson, I can't tell you to do it. Appreciate you, Bocce. KJ said, better tight end start, K. Dotton or Dalton Schultz, and a better RB2 start, Mason or Monty. Ooh, we're going to be going with Dalton Schultz this week. I'll go back to the Dalton Schultz train. I know going up against Green Bay, I think it's going to be a pretty good scoring game. Dalton Schultz as the third receiving option. Cade Otton, maybe if you could argue he becomes a better receiving option if Mike Evans is out. I don't want you to have to wait for that. So give me Dalton Schultz. And then in regards to an RB2, whether it's Mason, whether it is David Montgomery, I think I'm going to tell you to go with Mason Montgomery this week with the touchdown upside. I have them so close in my rankings there, KJ, but I just think you get a little bit more upside with that touchdown upside, and you're not having to go up against the amazingly stout Chiefs front there, KJ. Appreciate you. John said, what's up, bro? Geno or Cousins? I personally go with Geno Smith this week, John, even though Geno struggled last week. So Roll out some Geno Smith. Feel good about the matchup versus ATL. Applecott said Chubb and Ferguson out this week. Is it official that Chubb's out this week? I don't think I've been leaning him anywhere. So, CD and Ferguson are out this week. Oh, I see what you said. Yeah. With them being on bye, hopefully you can make it work there, Applecott. John said Stevenson or Dubs or Juju or JSN. Do I get to pick one, John? If I have to pick one, I'm picking Ramondre. But if I have to pick two there, John, I will be picking Stevenson and JSN. Carson, good to see you. You said, what's up, brother Caleb? Appreciate you, Carson. All the time when you say brother Caleb, and every time I was like, bro, you make me laugh. You really make me laugh. In my league, someone in my league dropped DeAndre Hopkins, so I picked him up in stash or leave him in waiver wire. Let me know. Thank you. I mean, I think he's worthy of a pickup. It depends on what else is out there, Carson, on your waiver wire. Like I said, I can't see your waiver wire right now, but I definitely think DeAndre Hopkins has upside and deserves to be rostered. Maximo said Jordan Mason or Chase Brown, half PPR. Maximo, I do have Jordan Mason higher, and I am a Cincinnati Bengals fan, so I feel like this is an appropriate question for me to answer, but I am worried about this Chiefs front seven. Joe, appreciate you being here. You said full PPR flex one wide receiver, JSN, Downs, or Demario Douglas, and our boy JSN has let us down last week. He really did. Honestly, like you could argue the last 4 weeks, JSN has pretty much let us down with where we thought he might be able to go. But Joe, I'm going back to the well. We're having trust in our boy JSN. Not only do I have the jerseys behind me, I just personally lean the JSN side. I have him about 9 spots higher than both Downs and DeMar Douglas. Appreciate you, Joe. Matthew said, I couldn't find a trade for Josh Downs, so I dropped him and picked up DeAndre Hopkins. Right move. Ooh. Matthew, I probably would have held on to Josh Downs just because the upside, we know of a guy like Josh Downs over DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins at this point for me is more name value than anything. So if you could go back to the waiver wire and try to re-pick up Downs, that's what I would do, Matthew, if I were you. Tingley, should I rock with Andrews or Likely, Tracy or Hunt, Bucky or Rashad, Douglas, Leggett or Whittington? Should I rock with Andrews or Likely? I will go with Andrews this week. I will be going with Hunt, Tingley, and then I'll be going with Bucky. And then I will be going with Demario Douglas over Xavier Leggett there, Tingley. And then you said Tracy or Bucky, Rashad. I will be personally going with the Bucky or Rashad side over Tracy because I do think Devin Singletary is back this week. Random, appreciate it for you guys for tuning in. Like I said, guys, if this is your first time on the channel, we are answering every start-sit question this season, as well as answering all of our comments. So I want you guys here in the community that we are building. You said, is Whittington a hold? Cup and soon Cup and Puka playing very soon. Yes, Random. I think Whittington is definitely, depends on what's out there on the waiver wire. I think he's definitely still worth a hold. But when the moment Puka comes back, the moment that Cooper Kupp is coming back this week, I do think Whittington is someone that he's just going to lose those roles as inside slot wide receivers. So personally for me, I do lean on potentially trying to look a little bit elsewhere for some production at the wide receiver position. Byron, appreciate you being here. You said Goodson or Sermon with AR back or Mattson with Jaco. Yeah. I personally go with Madison this week, Byron. I don't know between Sermon and Goodson whose it's going to be. I know a lot of people are saying, hey, that it's going to be the Goodson show. A lot of other people believe in Sermon. So for me personally, I won't deal with any of that. I will just put in the guy that is getting a bulk of the work. Now it's been super inefficient work, Byron, but I would go with Alexander Madison would be the way that I would lean. John said Henry in a good matchup and spot or Kraft. Yeah, I personally go with Kraft this week in the tight end position. I do know it is a good matchup for Hunter Henry, but I still have Kraft as a top 10 tight end this week. I have Hunter Henry as he's a top 14 tight end, but like I said, 4 spots below there, John, for me in my rankings. Jamel, like I said, appreciate you being here. If you guys haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. It helps me out so much. Said trade Higgins and Laporta for Harrison Jr. and Jake Ferguson. Ooh. Okay, let's pause and let's roll through this really quick. So we got Laporta and Ferguson essentially even across the board. So then it's really trying to determine Marvin Harrison Jr. versus T. Higgins. And personally for me, I still do have Marvin Harrison Jr. ahead. So for me, Jamel, I want the Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jake Ferguson side. I think all of the upside is there to do it. Here, let's see. let me see. I'm double checking something on stream really quick right now, guys. Wait, pause. Cool. We are back at it. My family was making pumpkins and they wanted me to vote on what the thing was. Not my family here, my family over in Ohio. So guys, chill. We're good. Matthew said, thank you. Of course. Jay Will said, Buckeyes over Cornhuskers by 1,000% tomorrow. Well, we're not playing the Cornhuskers. What is it? It's Nebraska versus, crap, who's playing Nebraska? Indiana. Indiana's playing Nebraska. So it's going to be a really good game. Trix said, so happy I'm not starting ETN this week. Shout out to Trix. Yeah, you're not having to start ETN at all. John said, Stevenson, Juju, JSN, Pickens, Dubs need one. Personally, even with all these options for me, John, it's between Stevenson and it's between JSN for me. Let me pull up my flex rankings and not my rest of season flex rankings, my actual this week flex rankings. And I would be going with JSN this week there, John. I understand you're worried about the overall position of him, but I personally go with JSN this week. So thanks so much, John, for tuning in. He said, so yeah, yep. Just true. Said, good evening. So Devon cleared. We still starting Hunt. Yes, I'm still starting Kareem Hunt over Devon A-Chain this week. 100% there. Just true. Miguel, appreciate you. Said, number 1, Lamar Jackson, Bijan, RB2, Chase, Godwin, Kelsey, flex options. Yeah, so I would start Mason and Hunt would be who I would go with. Mason in your RB2 spot and then Hunt in your flex would be who I go with. Even over a guy like Adams. I would love to tell you to start Adams this week, Miguel, but personally, I want to wait to see week 1 with what his snap share is going to be like, and I still am starting Hunt over Tyreek Hill. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it, Miguel, but you got a good squad going forward. And yeah, I saw you said you forgot Stevenson at running back. Yeah, I'm still doing Hunt and Jordan Mason. Noah said James Cook and Debo and Njoku for Amon-Ra and Bowers. You have K9 and Henry. Bro, Noah, go get Amon-Ra and Bowers. That's the side that I want to. So go do that deal. John, appreciate you. You said half pie PPR pick 2 between Debo, Cup, Addison, Christian Watson, or Xavier Worthy. I'm going Debo, and then I will be rolling out Cup there, John. I understand there's a little bit of the worry of like, hey, coming off an injury, is he gonna like pull something again? You know, you're always worried about that, but personally, I go with Debo and Cup and feel pretty good about it, John. And then John said, need a flex and a wide receiver, Waddle, Dubs, Singletary, or Vidal. Personally, for me this week, John, I will be going with Dubs and Singletary. It's crazy for me to tell you not to start some Jalen Waddle, but yeah, it's bad. It's bad in the streets right now. And then you said, Miguel says Debo Cup if he plays. Yeah. Jesus said start Ravens defense or Steelers defense. Let me pull up the defensive rankings this week. We'll be going with the Pittsburgh Steelers defense versus the Jets. I think you got to go that way. Because what the Ravens... Yeah. The Ravens are going up against Tampa. I just don't like that matchup for... I don't like either matchup, honestly, Jesus, but I personally lean the Steelers going up against the Jets. Ryan says, hey, Caleb, was wondering if I should start Baker or Hurts this week. You know what? It's crazy that we even have to have that discussion. I still have Jalen Hurts as a top 3 quarterback this week. I have Baker as a top 8. So, Ryan, I think it's a valid argument. Baker's been on an absolute heater, but I'm rolling out Jalen Hurts for me. Frizz says, starting Olave this week. Starting Olave this week? YOLO? Goodness. If you started him, you missed out. You missed out. Slim Material 06 said, trade Rashad White for T. Higgins. Might have to give up more like Watson or... Yes. Even if you have to include Watson or Juju, do that deal for T. Higgins. Yep, I'm cool with that, Slim. Go get T. Higgins. Appreciate you, James. You said Baldy. Miguel, I'm debating. I'm going with Bitsty. Trick said the auto sub feature on Sleeper is pretty cool. If your play doesn't play, it switches you sudden. Yeah, it is a pretty cool feature. I know I'm in a few leagues where it's on and a few leagues where it's off. It just depends on how you set it up with your internal league. Jaime says, should I trade away Gibbs plus Amari, Devontae or Terry plus... Should I trade away Gibbs plus Amari, Devontae or Terry plus Kyler for Kenneth plus Stafford at peace, or I think it's too much, or should I try it and trade away Mason instead? His quarterback is Geno by on week 10. Should I trade Gibbs? I honestly want to hold the Gibbs and Amari, and then you said Devontae or Terry plus for Kenneth. I don't like that second deal either. I don't like any of these deals. I honestly, Jaime, I know you're in a pinch in some leagues, but I don't like any of these deals for you. And that's not me just saying that. I honestly hold yours thin. And then Jaime says, Tricks, reason why Sleeper's ability. Yes, shout out to Sleeper. It's like the best platform for sure. Tingley said, start one flex. Dobbins, K9. Perfect. Yep, K9 there, Tingley. Podson said, Andy Dalton or Anthony Richardson. Now, this is where we're getting a little bit interesting in between who you would go with, but I'd still go with Anthony Richardson there, Podson. Might not be good for anybody else, but it's going to be good for Anthony Richardson. And then, yeah, shout out Podson. He said, enjoying the tunes in the background. I'm glad you are. Honestly, the tunes, shout out to Element, who is a pod here on the channel. He makes rap beats, so he's letting us use his music as background music. So shout out to Element. Tingley said, Dobbins, Chuba, or Hunt, half PPR, or pick 2 if you think one can be starting over Hall. No, I'm still starting Hall, and then I will be starting Chuba. Might be one of the last few weeks, though. We got Lethal says, thank you, and you'd go Juju over Marvin Harrison Jr. also, right? No, I probably still lean Marvin Harrison Jr. over Juju, assuming that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be able to play. Andrew said, what's up, bro? 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. You can choose my lineup. Saquon, Chase, Brown, Jordan Mason, Eckler. Okay. What's up, bro? 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. So, yeah, we're going with Saquon. And then we're going with Jordan Mason as the 2 running backs. 2 wide receivers, you're going with Justin Jefferson and Zay. And then in regards to the 1 flex, I will be going with Chase Brown. So Saquon, Chase Brown, Jordan Mason, Justin Jefferson, and Zay there. Andrew, appreciate you. Jamel said trade Higgins and Laporta for Harrison Jr. and Ferguson. Jamel, if you missed it, personally, I go with the Harrison Jr. and Ferguson side. Shannon Sharp's burner account. You know what? I'm glad you changed your name because it was just Shannon Sharp for a minute. And I was like, bro, I was giving you crap like, oh my goodness, Shannon Sharp asking me fantasy football advice. I'm glad you changed it to a burner, but shout out to Shannon Sharp. You say, let's go, Caleb, a fantasy genius. Appreciate the kind words. Miguel said, everyone's going to say Barkley and Mason, but I like Barkley and Eckler with Jefferson and Flowers, flex Mason or Douglas. Miguel, we're beefing there on that one, but you are answering the question, so shout out to you keeping everyone in the chat. Do you think the Vikes are legit? I do think the Vikes are legit, and shout out to the league FFB. I think definitely he's a big fan of the Vikings, and I think the Vikings are legit. I think they got a good enough defense and a lot of other good pieces, at least on offense, with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson returning. That'll definitely help the overall offense. And if Aaron Jones can get back healthy, a lot of good things. Justin, I will answer this when you type it out, my brother. Thanks so much for being here. Tyler said, hey, Caleb, good to hear from you. Got a few questions. First, how do you feel about Ertz this week? Ferguson's on bye for me, and my other options are Fant, Otten, and Parkinson. I feel okay about Ertz. I have Zach Ertz as a top 12 tight end, so I would still be throwing Ertz in over a guy like a Cade Otten. So I'm feeling very comfortable there. That's your first question. And then half PPR. Yeah, I'd still be going with Zach Ertz. I don't know if you got more there, Tyler, but happy to answer more questions for you. But yeah, I'd still be going with Zach Ertz there. XXX said start Addison over McConkey. XXX, I would be starting Jordan Addison over McConkey for sure. I have Jordan Addison exceptionally high. I know Miguel's probably going to argue that it's he's going the other way. I see in the chat, but personally, I have Jordan Addison, like we said, as a top 25 wide receiver this week. I have Ladd as a top 28, so I have Ladd 3 spots behind Jordan Addison, so of course it's close, but I would personally be going with Jordan Addison. Justin says, would you trade away Brock Bowers and Devontae Smith for CeeDee Lamb? Ooh, Justin, that's a big boy offer. Justin, it depends on your team. Do you have a good backup tight end? It's hard for me to trade away the tight end 1 and Devontae Smith, who's like a wide receiver 14 from your rest of the season. Now, I do have CeeDee Lamb as a top 3, so I think I would do this assuming you have a decent option as a back end tight end. Sobriety is rad 333. Appreciate you tuning in, dude. Thanks so much for being here. Awesome. Let me know what questions I can answer for you. Shout out to you, Byron. Thanks so much. Miguel says, yeah, we'll have to see what the rest of his team's looking like. Noah says, London for Nico. My team is Lamar, Bijan, Mixon, A-Chain, CD, Amon-Ra, McBride, London 4-2. Only lost 2 times because of ETN. Not on the team anymore. Yeah, London for Nico. Personally, if I'm doing that trade, let me see. I want to hold the Drake London side there for me. So if I can get Drake London for Nico, I'm 100% doing that. But if you see you have London, so I'd just be holding London personally. I think you got a good squad. I think you got a really good squad now. We'll continue to ride it out. I'm not making any trades. Glenn said Addison, McConkey, or Zach Moss in half PPR. Glenn, I would be going with Jordan Addison. Appreciate you tuning in here, Glenn. Jaime said, so if I made it confusing a little bit, thoughts on Gibbs for Kenneth? I want Kenneth Walker over Jahmyr Gibbs there. Or Mason for Kenneth, if I can try. Yeah, if you could do Mason first, that's the deal that I want to do here, Jaime. But if you're forced to just like look down the barrel and say, do I want Jahmyr Gibbs or do I want Kenneth Walker? I personally lean the Kenneth Walker side there, Jaime. Lethal said, I might just roll out Juju since my opponent has Mahomes as his QB and pray. Hey, pray that... I understand. Mahomes hasn't looked good, though, this year, guys. I think that's the thing. Like, as much as we always get a little bit nervous when we play Patrick Mahomes, he's been, like, not an elite level QB. So we need to have, I think, more realistic expectations going forward. And so I wouldn't be worried. Like, if you had Tyreek Hill back in the day against, you know, Patrick Mahomes, you feel better because you're like, hey, at least I'll get a piece of this. But Lethal, I wouldn't be freaking out so much. Who else? Big Dog said, what up, Caleb? Start Tracy, Gibson, or Algier. So we got, it's the wrath of the handcuff running backs here. Who else, Big Dog? Because we got Devin Singletary projected to play this week, which will be interesting to see how Tyrone Tracy kind of deals with that. And then, of course, we got Antonio Gibson. Personally, for me, I do have it ranked as Tracy, Gibson, and then Tyler Algier. So I'd still go with Tracy because I think what's going to happen is he's proven enough that he should get more run than what he was getting prior to Devin Singletary getting hurt. Appreciate you being here. And then, yeah. If I can do K9 or Mason for K9, 100%. Tyler says, got offered Zach Moss for Wandell. Half PPR roster is Lamar, AJ Brown, Debo, Mooney, JT, Chuba. Yeah, so we need some more running back help here, Tyler, for sure. I would do that deal. I understand, like, I think Wandell can provide some solid wide receiver 2 value, especially next to Malik Neighbors, but definitely that upside that we saw the last 2 weeks with Neighbors hurt is not going to be there going forward. So, and I also understand Chase Brown has overtaken the Cincinnati Bengals backfield. Like, don't get me wrong there. I just personally want the Zach Moss with your team build, with you needing some running backs. Yeah, appreciate you, Jaime. And then you said, who would I trade away? My wide receivers are Chase, Devontae, Terry, and Amari. My lineup runs. I would trade Amari. Like Amari plus Mason for K9. I'd be cool doing that. I know it's crazy saying that, especially with Amari going to the Bills, but he's still, even with him going to the Bills, I still have Devontae rated ahead of him rest of season. Justin says, yeah, I have Ferguson and Evan. Okay, yeah, cool, Justin. I'm cool with you doing that deal then. 100%. See, Wolves, good to see you here. You said, want to unload CMC. Have Mason, Moss, ETN, CMC, Stevenson, Moore, London, Godwin, Dell. Last place has Gibbs, Eckler, Rashad White, Walker, St. Brown. Is what's your request for CMC? I mean, at this point, you've held on to him, Seawolves. So this is the issue. You've waited, and we're almost back to CMC being here. So, like, you're almost better, Seawolves, to just wait until CMC plays and then unload him for our King's ransom than to sell him right now because he's still not at peak level value. Because I would love to tell you that you should be able to go out there, like they're probably going to lowball you. That's the reason that I'm saying that. They're probably going to give you like Addison and Rashad White, or Addison. Like you're not going to be able to get Walker or Gibbs. Like if you can get Walker or Gibbs straight up for CMC, Seawolves, then I'm cool to do it. But otherwise, I'm just going to hold and wait until he pops off, and then I'm either going to trade him or I'm going to hold him there. Seawolves, appreciate you tuning in though. Justin, thanks so much. Like I said, I wait to see if the other team counters. Yeah. Big Mac Brad, shout out to Big Mac Brad for tuning into the channel. You said just got offered Devon and Kyler for JT. I have Geno and Goff at QB's thoughts. JT is my RB2 behind Saquon. Yeah. So right now the issue is with Kyler has just been him being absolute cheeks. So I still have him as a QB8 rest of the season. So I understand you're getting the upgrade at your quarterback position. But then it's really when we start to look at running back, like I still have Jonathan Taylor as a top 12 running back. I also have Devon as a top 12. So it is a pretty fair deal. I think for me, you are going to convince me to take the Devon and Kyler side for JT. As much as it's sad to say, I think when JT comes back, I mean, he was kind of week 3 versus Chicago. He was kind of getting to start being on a tear a little bit before getting hurt. But I would lean Devon, especially if we have Tua coming back here over the next few weeks. If you guys haven't hit the like button already, hit the like button. It helps me out so much as I'm answering all your guys' start sit questions all season long. Noah said CD by flex Devon, pop Douglas down. I'll flex Devon there, Noah, for sure. Appreciate you tuning in. Anthony says, pick 2. Anthony, you got to let me know what Andrew told you because I saw you in the stream earlier if we're in differing spots. But you said pick 2 between Chase Brown, Hunt, and Bigsby. I will be going with Hunt and Chase Brown here, Anthony. Would love to know what Andrew told you as well. Tyler says, how do you feel about Bears the rest of the season, or should I continue to stream options? I am always, Tyler, I am a pro defensive streamer. Now, I have Chicago as a top 5 defense rest of the season. And so it's hard to drop a defense like that, especially like they're on bye this week, but then they're against Washington and Arizona. Like, they don't really get a great matchup until like New England week 10, Green Bay. It's hard because they've had such great matchups here recently. Then I'm more of just I like to stream the options. I like to stream the matchups more than I like just to hold on to one defense. So it's just a matter of preference here for me. Jaime said, in my keeper league, we have a rule. We can't keep the same player we drafted or kept 2 years in a row. So now it's fair for everyone if they want said player. So I wouldn't mind trading away Gibbs. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I think Gibbs would be a fair one to do too. B Silva said, would you drop Kraft for likely my other tight end? My other tight end is Ferguson. Not this week. I still prefer Kraft over likely. I know it was a down week last week for Kraft, but I'm going back to the well with Kraft there. B Silva, appreciate you for tuning in. Tyler says Bigsby or Tracy. I will be going with Tank Bigsby there, Tyler, over Tyrone Tracy. Take a quick drink of water, and we'll get back to it. Let's get the music back on. We only are allowed. I got you, Jaime. Iggy said Mason and CMC for Cup and BTJ. Which side would you rather have? Personally, for me, I'm with the CMC and Mason side. High upside running backs there, and you get both in the backfield. Patrick said, should I start Wandell, Tank, or Brian Thomas Jr. at flex? Patrick, I will personally be starting Tank Bigsby this week. Let me just double check Tank versus BTJ, because I know I have Tank ahead. I know I have Brian Thomas Jr. ahead of Wandell. I just want to double check that. This is where I have him all ranked. No, I would go with Brian Thomas Jr. That was my honest. I've looked at this sheet too much this week. I leaned Brian Thomas. So I was like, maybe I do have Tank ahead. But Patrick, I'd be going with Brian Thomas Jr. in the flex. Anthony says, you need to complete the Ohio State connection. Get yourself a Micah Thomas, J.S. and Olave jersey in the backdrop. Ooh, you're right. You're right here, Anthony. I need more. You know what? We got these 2 jerseys last year. Like I said, if you guys tuned in the channel last year, it was a very like blank white wall. We've added some lights. We've added the jerseys. We're going to just continue to make the setup like year in and year out better. So I hope you guys know, like, this is not the end all be all. We will make improvements. We improved the camera. Like everything's kind of making progress. But yes, I agree with you, Anthony. We do need some more jerseys. Darnold or Kyler this week, Sir Gibaka. I will be going personally with Darnold this week over Kyler. Fierce FN, appreciate you tuning in. You said, should I do Dobbins and Rachaad White for Laporta and Bigsby? Ooh. So if we're looking at rest of season, I want to just give you, like, break this down player by player. So we got J.K. Dobbins as our overall RB20. I have Tank Bigsby as my RB31. I understand we've seen a lot of exciting stuff. I do have a little bit of gap there. And then Laporta, of course, is the better player on the right. Versus Rachaad White. So let me break this down even further. So if both players, where do I have J.K. Dobbins in regards to Sam Laporta? Just so we know. Here. Cool. So I have J.K. Dobbins as my overall player 42. And where do I have Sam Laporta? And I have Sam Laporta as my overall 59. So personally, I do still want that Dobbins side. Fierce, but it depends on what your tight end position is looking like. If you're trying to get an upgrade at tight end, I understand a little bit. Jaime said, yeah, plus Devontae, to be honest, is such a great safety blanket now that I think about it, because he averages at least 15 or more points. Yeah, there's not a lot of high-end upside for Devontae, but it's pretty consistent. Patrick said, should I start Wandell, Tank, or Brian Thomas Jr. at flex? Great question. I think we're going to be going Tank here, but I'm double-checking my rankings. Yep, I will be going with Tank over Brian Thomas Jr. there, Patrick. And then Jaime says, not King ND can go off at any time. Boss, would you do Murray for Monty? The Monty owner has T-Law and Dalton at quarterback. Yeah, I would. Would you do Murray for Monty? The Monty owner has T-Lon Dalton at QB. I mean, I want the Monty side. Boss, what did you... So if I can get Monty for Kyler Murray there, Jaime, 100%. We'll figure out the quarterback position elsewhere. Seawolf said, one quarterback league, have Allen on several leagues. Would you drop Rodgers in one league and Cousins in another to pick up Tua? No, Seawolves. As much as Tua has upside, I'm not overthinking this one. I will much prefer to have Rodgers and Cousins over Tua. Fierce said, pick 2, Mason Dobbins or Amari Cooper. Fierce, I will be taking Mason and Dobbins. I think we're worried about the snap share for Amari Cooper, and even if he's going to play. So I'd be going with Mason and Dobbins there. Tyler says, this guy, appreciate you, Tyler. Thanks for the kind words. Sport Dog 1000 said, 8-team standard. You picked up Jordan Addison. You have Terry McLaurin to Josh Downs, my wide receiver spot, and Breece Hall in my flex. Would you use Addison and replace one of my starters in flex or wide receiver? I would start Addison over Downs. Sport Dog. And listen, it's because of Anthony Richardson. I think you're a little bit safer playing Jordan Addison this week. If Josh Downs pops off again, then I'm 100% cool putting Josh Downs as a must-start option for you rest of the season. But personally, I want Addison over Josh Downs this week. Jaime said, thoughts on starting Vikings D rest of the season? Luckily, I got off waivers weeks ago. I think, Jaime, I like this stream defense. Like, I have them as a top 5 defense, so hear me out. I know they're a good defense, but I personally just like to play the waiver wire and play matchups a little bit more. So you'll definitely get some good matchups with them. And your other defense is Pittsburgh, which I have Pittsburgh as you have 2 top 5 defenses. So I just play the better matchup between the 2. And then Tyler said, okay, last question. Whoa. Shout out to shout out to Jason. Thanks so much for tuning in here, Jason. You said, do you see Hunter Henry as a guy on the rise with May? Also, would you offer 2 of either Amon-Ra, Kupp, and Dell or Juju for Justin Jefferson? This is a great question here, Jason. Like I said, Jason, appreciate you so much. Thanks so much for the super chat. Whoever just hit the dislike button, I'm so sorry if I upsetted you with my start sit decision, but I apologize. But Jason, thanks so much for always supporting the channel, bro. Absolutely means the world. You said, do you see Hunter Henry as a guy on the rise with May? I could definitely see him going up on the rise. I think when we're talking about him in my rest of season rankings, I really haven't bumped him up, honestly, Jason, because it's a good matchup this week for Hunter Henry. Like last week, he did have his second best week of the season with Drake May, but he still only has had like a 9.6% target share over the last 4 weeks. So I just want to see that go up. But I will say this, all pass catching options for the Patriots are up after this last week. So 100%, I love Drake May. I think there's a high end upside. But I do think he's on the rise, but to the extent of is he going to be a weekly starter for you? TBD. And then you said also, would you offer 2 of either Amon-Ra, Kupp, and or Dell or Juju for Justin Jefferson? Personally, if you could do Kupp and Juju for Justin Jefferson, I would do that, or even Kupp and Dell. I'm holding Amon-Ra, Jason. So if you can get Amon-Ra and Justin Jefferson, I think your team's going to be in a really good position. So I would try to do everything, add in all those, not all those players, but I would do, Kupp Dell, Kupp Juju, whatever the manager prefers, and then get Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra on your team, and I think you're going to be in a really good spot there, Jason. So thanks so much, Jason, for the 5. Thanks for always supporting the channel, bro. Means the absolute best. Like I said, you guys all supporting the channel. I said, the best free way to support the channel is to hit the like button and ask me all the questions you can. But I do appreciate the super chats. It does help you get in front of the line, especially on a busy night like tonight. Thank you so much, Jason. Let's keep going. Where we got? We got Tyler said, okay, last question. You and me are synced up this season. I can feel it. I have Mostert slated to start with the way my lineup is set up and the projected points. Mostert or Bigsby, ETN will play. Personally, I go with ETN over, not ETN. I go with Bigsby over Mostert this week. There, Tyler. Jaime said, Caleb, when are we getting a Joe Burrow since he's using the background? And yeah, fill that back wall with jerseys, Boston, and OSU jersey too. Listen, when I started looking at jerseys, I asked for your guys' opinion. I put out a poll last year, and everyone voted for CJ Stroud and Garrett Wilson. We might need to add a few more, but for the time being, I'm probably going to be moving here in the next year-ish. And so for me to really try to deck out the studio more, or this production of the lights and all this, I don't really know. But as we continue to grow, we're going to continue to get the setup better. So 100%. Fierce said, for the Dobbins trade, you have Mark Andrews as my tight end. Can I trust Mark Andrews moving forward? I don't think you can, but I wouldn't hate it. I mean, I have Mark Andrews, down as my tight end 16, so he's definitely like a starting option, but it's going to be risky if you do the deal. Alex said, thinking of trading Olave since I'm tired of his inconsistencies. Received an offer today for Jordan Addison PPR. Is this worth it? Well, I mean, I feel like you're selling completely low on Chris Olave here personally for me. Now, if we're looking where I have Jordan Addison relative to Chris Olave, it's not like the worst offer in the world, but I wouldn't say that it's also the best. I'm personally still holding Chris Olave. I have Chris Olave down as my wide receiver 24, Alex, rest of the season. I have Addison as my wide receiver 38. Like I said, they're two completely different wide receivers where one kind of pops off, the other one doesn't. So I personally lean the Chris Olave side. PRS said, I'm starting Hurts, St. Brown, Neighbor, Scary, Terry, Gibbs, Chase, Brown, Kelsey. My other options are Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, Jordan Addison, Tank Bigsby. Glad I started Broncos defense, 21 points, baby. Let's go. Yeah, I agree with everything in your starting lineup. Yeah, I agree with Chase Brown over Garrett Wilson. And Amari Cooper, we're worried about his overall. So I think you're in a great spot with your starting lineup there, PRF. I wouldn't change anything. Like I said, Jason, thanks so much for the $5. Appreciate you tuning in and always supporting the channel. Reese says, pick 3 PPR, Mahomes, Darnold, Ertz, Njoku, and Mason or Brian Thomas Jr. for flex. Personally, I think I have, where do I have Mahomes this week? Yeah, I'm going with Sam Darnold over Mahomes. I'm going with Njoku over Ertz. And then I'm going with Mason over Brian Thomas and flex, Reese. But let me know that I think I'm high on Jordan Mason, knowing that there is the worry of upside here for him versus this Chiefs front seven. Who else, Big Dog? Since you're a fellow Bengals fan, I feel comfortable to ask you. Appreciate you. Who else, Big Dog? Ronnie said Stroud, Cousins, or Geno. I will personally this week be going with CJ Stroud. You also need two running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Cook, Monty, Dobbins, Bigsby, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, Higgins, JSN. Thanks, Caleb. Yeah, I would be going with Monty and Cook, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, and Higgins. So Stroud, Cook, Monty, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, Higgins. Thanks so much, Ronnie. Appreciate you tuning in. Jaime said, in my other league, who could I target at running back for Godwin? I tried getting Henry and failed, so I was thinking Kyron. I'm cool with Kyron. I'm cool with Bijan. Honestly, K9 and Mixon, I'd much prefer just holding Godwin at that point. And I wouldn't add a piece. I would just try to do it straight up, because if they don't want to do it, then I'm cool just holding Godwin, because Godwin is a top 8 wide receiver for me rest of the season. Jaime, you're making moves. I appreciate all the questions, bro. You said, who else, Big Dog? So since you're a fellow Bengals fan, I feel more comfortable asking, we starting streaming Bengals defense this week versus the Browns. Oh, sorry. This was the second part to your question that I was not answering. I just thought you were complimenting on me. I mean, yeah, I think you are. I have them as a top 3 defense, and I am comfortable starting them. Even though their secondary is trash, it doesn't matter. Their Deshaun Washington's been trash, so I feel very confident starting the Bengals defense this week. Sir G said, are you higher on Marvin Harrison Jr. or Pollard rest of season? Ooh. I would love to say Marvin Harrison Jr. with my bias, but I don't think at this current moment I'm going to be able to say that. I think I have to tell you Tony Pollard there, sir. So I would be going with Tony Pollard higher rest of season. Reese said, PPR, I'm starting James Cook and Mattson with Brian Thomas and flex. Should I swap out Mason out? Personally, I would start Mason over Mattson this week. So I would start Alexander Madison, James Cook, and Brian Thomas Jr. there, Reese. Oh, you said Demont and Cook and Cook. Wait, Demont and Cook. Oh, you're starting Monty. Yes. Yeah, I would start Monty and Cook 100% over Mason. And then I think you could argue Mason over Brian Thomas in the flex there, Reese. I personally, Jordan Mason in the flex. And then Anthony said, Sam, I'm playing Darnold. Yes, I think it's hard for us to play Patrick Mahomes going forward, knowing kind of where it's been, what he's been doing here rest of season. So, Glenn, appreciate you tuning in. You said Devon, Diggs, Cup, or Aaron Jones. I only get to pick one, bro. Glenn, I only get to pick one? Ridiculous. This is actually anarchy. The fact that you're making me stare down the barrel of this decision here. You go Diggs. That's my number one. But if you need a second option, I go Diggs and Cup. But if you only need one, I go Diggs. Glenn, what type of league you playing in, bro? The fact that you got a loaded squad and you're trying to make these start-sit decisions, insane. John Batista, appreciate you tuning in. You said Batista? I said it right. I traded Adams and Mason for Devon and Wright. I have Chase in London already. Did I do a bad trade? Honestly, dude, this is me just saying this as a friend. I think you lost out on value because I think you could argue Adams and Devon are kind of in the same tier. But then someone got a free Mason for a few weeks for Wright. So honestly, I do think you could have gotten more. I think that second piece is really what's doing it in this trade for you, John. But I'm hoping this works out for you, bro. Hoping this works out for you. Just trying to be truthful. Like I said, I tell everybody how it is straight. Even if you do, I understand you probably have the love there for Devon. But I think Adams with the Jets boosts Adams' value, and then Mason has value until CMC returns, which is in a few weeks. Jaime said, yeah, LO, Godwin's a dog, and I don't mind holding him. LO, I got offers for Neighbors. Let me know what those offers are for Neighbors, but it's got to be a freaking big offer for me to get off of Neighbors. Incognito TK said, Lord Caleb, goodness. How you doing, OG? I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. Hope you're doing good, bro. Let me know what start-set questions I can answer for you. Jason said, how good do you think Marvin Harrison Jr. will be rest of the season? Should I try to trade him? Thanks, brother. Yeah, Jason, I think it's been a struggle for Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, if anyone's been watching football, you know that that's the case for Marvin Harrison Jr. So, like, when I rank him, I have him as a top 15 wide receiver rest of season. So if I can get guys like a Mike Evans, like a DK Metcalf, like a Jaden Reed, like a Tyreek Hill for him right now, like those are players that I'm taking. Running backs, you know, in the similar range. Can I get like a Josh Jacobs? Can I get a Jonathan Taylor or Joe Mixon from Marvin Harrison Jr.? If I can, then cool. If not, then I'm just going to be holding Marvin Harrison Jr. then for sure. And then Jason with the $4.99 super chat. Bro, I honestly saw this and I thought, I was honestly like, oh, he already put another one. So sorry for me not jumping to this. Thought it was the same one. It's not. Appreciate you, bro, for another 5. You said he rejected Dell. Would you go Waddle and Cup for JJ? Yes, I would. I would do that for JJ. He hasn't rejected Juju yet. Receivers are, yeah. I am 100% cool to do Waddle and Cup for JJ. You're getting the best player, the wide receiver 1, my overall player 1 rest of season there, Jason. So I want the best player in the deal here because that's going to help you rest of season. And I know your team's already good and you already got a really good record. So give me the best player in Justin Jefferson and go win a chip, Jason. So thank you so much for the $10 here tonight. Appreciate you for always supporting the channel and being here. It means the absolute world. So shout out to Jason, man. You know what, Jason, you get an applause here tonight. Appreciate all the love, bro. Appreciate all the love. So where are we at? Let me get back. Yeah, Jason's just absolutely crushing it. Other Jason, we answered this question. Cool. Panos said, didn't take your advice and started Javonte Williams last night instead of Addison. Didn't take your advice and started Javonte. You know, first off, Panos, we get things wrong. So appreciate you for not listening to me on that one as Javonte Williams turned into the second coming of LaDainian Tomlinson last night. So good move for you. And then you said, how about Cousins? I want Stroud playing this week over Cousins personally. But I'm glad you didn't listen to that and you started Javonte. Andrew said, if the news hit that CMC would be out for the rest of the season, what is the rest of season ranking for Jordan Mason? And Andrew, I swear this is a sick question that you're asking me because I own so much CMC that I need him to come back instantly. But I think if he wasn't going to come back, we have to put him as our RB8 rest of season. Would be Jordan Mason would kind of put himself if we got that news. But the good news is we're not going to get that news because he's going to come back, he's going to be healthy, and he's going to be an absolute league winner, especially for the subscriber league. Potson said Ingram or Kraft. I will be going Potson with Ingram this week. Trevor, appreciate you. You said, like I said, guys, if this is your first time on the channel, first off, welcome. We answer every start sit question this season. We're putting out videos like 7 days a week. We're having a video tomorrow. We've had a video come out tonight. So like I said, we want you in this community answering every start sit question to help you win a fantasy football championship this year. You said Alexander Madison or Chubb, PPR. Honestly, Trevor, I'm a little bit worried about Chubb this week. I think someone just said that he's not playing this week, which I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't gotten a report on that. Let's see. Did a report come out? Did anyone see anything on Nick Chubb? Because someone was in chat earlier and said Nick Chubb. Well, they're expecting him to return. Personally, for me, I will be going with Alexander Madison because he's going to get the volume. Now, it's not good volume at all, Trevor, so I understand that. I just don't want to play a guy coming off an ACL. He could look absolutely amazing, and you're going to be like, Caleb, you're a freaking idiot. But I am one where a guy coming off a major injury like this, let's give him time. Let's see it before we fully invest and put our fantasy football season or a week on the line. So I'd be going with Alexander Madison there, Trevor. The Real Slick Nick, appreciate you. You said, is Moss cooked at this point? I traded for Chase Brown recently. I think cooked is maybe a high-end term. I would more say that Zach Moss is probably in the same level of discussion as like a guy like a Rashad White, where you don't feel comfortable starting him week in and week out. He's been surpassed by a younger, more athletic, better running back. So that's kind of where I have. But I guess if you want to say cooked, yeah, he's kind of cooked. Jaime says, if I don't start Vikings D, should I start Pitch D or snag Cincy D, considering they're facing the depleted 1-5 Browns? Who they gonna beat them Bengals? Imagine Browns getting the first pick after trading for Watson. I mean, that'd be unreal. And then them drafting like Shadur Sanders. Imagine the freaking show. Imagine. We'll have to see who the number one quarterback is going to be this next year in the draft. There's still a lot of decisions to be made there in the dynasty / fantasy football space. But personally, I do have the Bengals as a top 3 defense. I would start the Bengals over the Vikings. And or who was your other option? Yeah, or the Pittsburgh D. I have Pittsburgh as a top 7 defense this week, but it is a little bit less of a matchup. So I do prefer the Bengals defense if you have the roster spot there, Jaime. Johnny, dude, good to see you. I know you're always over there on my boy Andrew's channel, so appreciate you coming over here. You said Chase or Amon-Ra St. Brown rest of the season. Ooh. Is this in my heart of hearts, Johnny, I understand where we've seen Amon-Ra have that uptick a little bit over the last few weeks. But personally, for me, I will be going with Jamar Chase. I just think there's a little bit more upside relative. Now, the floor is lower. I feel like the floor is higher for Amon-Ra, but the ceiling floor combo for me with Jamar Chase is kind of what I'm looking for, with the ceiling being huge. So give me Jamar Chase. But I also understand that you love your Detroit Lions there, Johnny. Appreciate you tuning in. Fantasy Football Girl said, I have Deontay Johnson and Mike Evans both have injuries. Should I play Shakir and pick up Leggett? Full PPR. I'm probably going to I think we're going to be fine, Fantasy Football Girl. I do think Mike Evans plays this week, so I'll probably just roll out Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans. What I will say is check out the video tomorrow and come back and ask me this question, because we should get more like Friday is such a vital day for injuries. I think like if you have a player that's limited on Friday, usually does not bode super well for Sunday's games. So like tomorrow is technically the Buccaneers Friday. So we'll kind of have an idea on where Mike Evans is going to be tomorrow. And then you're showing me your lineup. Yeah. Personally for me, I don't know. I do like Leggett this week, but I don't think I'm starting Leggett and Shakir over Mike Evans and Deontay Johnson. I'm kind of playing that injury balance game for the next day there, Fantasy Football Girl. Incognito TK says, who's higher in your rest of season rankings between Cooper Kupp and Jaden Reed? Jaden Reed, for sure. Jaden Reed, I have him as a top 10 wide receiver. I do have Cooper Kupp as a top 14, but I do lean Jaden Reed rest of season. Love the upside. Love the upside of a Jaden Reed. And Fantasy Football Girl comes in, says, question posted in chat, need to reclaim number 1 spot on my second team. Fantasy Football Girl, you're awesome. I don't know if did I just answer the question you wanted? Because I feel bad if you left a super chat after leaving that. You got another question there, Fantasy Football Girl? Yeah, personally, Fantasy Football Girl, I lean, and you ask me tomorrow. You berate me after leaving me 5, girl. I appreciate you so much. I will wait until tomorrow. Like I said, we'll learn a little bit more about Mike Evans and this hammy tomorrow. And then Deontay Johnson, we think, which PB&J was in the chat earlier, he thinks he's just being a baby. So I personally like Deontay Johnson and Mike Evans this week. I know you need a win. I don't feel confident starting Khalil Shakir, especially if Mari Cooper is going to play this week. And then I do like Xavier Legette, but that's, of course, like an upside shot. So personally for me, I would be going with Deontay Johnson and Mike Evans there, Fantasy Football Girl. But thank you so much for the 5. Absolutely always appreciate you coming in. Always love seeing you in the streams. Baked ZD said, if healthy, start Trey Sermon or Juju Smith-Schuster. Baked ZD, I will be starting Juju Smith-Schuster personally for me. And then Jaime says, I hope CMC does come back. LO gives me a reason to let go of Mason before it's too late. Yeah. If you guys have Mason, I understand there's like the worry of if CMC's not going to return. Like I'm banking on him returning. So I'm trying to sell Jordan Mason if I can, and someone's going to, even if I have to sell a little bit low on him, like let me get him off my team and get someone that's going to be able to be here for me all season long. We all know injuries play a factor in that, but personally for me, I lean getting rid of Jordan Mason on my team. Jaime said, Chubb said he's limited. Yep. I saw that too. So thanks so much for going and looking for that, Jaime. Like I said, someone said that in the chat earlier. I was like, what the heck? So I had to double check. Seawolf said Stroud or Mahomes. Seawolves, I will be going with CJ Stroud this week over Mahomes. And then Jaime said they're going to have him work. Yeah, I think it's going to be a slow workload for him to kind of come back fully. And so, like I said, he tore his MCL and his ACL. Like it's a pretty bad knee injury. Now we've seen him come back before. He's a hard worker, absolutely elite level running back. So I'm not going to be surprised if he looks super good. But I'm one that there's a little bit of worry for me. What's that workload going to look like? And then you add in on top of the fact that this offense sucks. Like a lot of things that I'm just like, are we forgetting? It's not like Nick Chubb is coming back on an elite level offense. And then Janesh says, well, who would you have on your bench? Pick 2. Who would you have on your bench? Legette, Tolbert, Odunze, Bateman. Personally for me, I would go with Odunze and Tolbert there, Janesh. But Bateman is making a surge. I will say that. It's closer than I would be hoping for between these players, but it'd be Tolbert and Odunze for me, Janesh. Trevor said White, Algier, or Chubb in full PPR. Trevor, I will be going with Rashad White here. You could probably make the argument that you should put Nick Chubb above Rashad White this week, but it makes me nervous. Like I said, I'm nervous about the whole thing. So it's close between them for me this week, but I still lean some Rashad White. So, which could be wrong, which 100% could be wrong this week, but we'll play the game, the hot cold game between Rashad White and Bucky Irving. Jaime says, yeah, I can drop Pitt's defense considering the offense and Pitt is now uncertain with Russ at Q. Yeah, exactly. Fantasy Football Girl, appreciate you so much. Thanks so much for giving the super chat. And Timbo, yeah, listen, bro, your wife is absolutely coming back to take over your league. And you're over here asking your Star State question. So I will answer this week since you're not playing her. Like I said, I did not have permission to answer your Star State questions last week, but I can answer it this week. You said, hey, Caleb, what do you think about these trades in the league I'm in? BTJ, Ladd, Kyron for Jefferson. Give me the Jefferson side. And then the other trade is Debo and Connor for Pittman, Jameson, and Jacobs. Personally, on both those, I want the better players. So I want the Jefferson side, and then I do want the Debo and Connor side on the Pittman, Jameson, and Jacobs side. And then you said I vetoed them both. I think the Kyron and BTJ side, honestly, for Jefferson, that wasn't a bad one. I've seen worse. I think the second one's it's close, but it's kind of bad. I mean, Jacobs and Connor are essentially equal. So then you're saying Jameson and Pittman for Debo. I don't think they're terrible, Timbo, but I understand the second one more than I understand the first one, honestly. But I also think people hate seeing big tier assets like this get traded away in any league format. Appreciate you, Timbo. Johnny, appreciate you. Frizz says, start Pop, Douglas, Bigsby, or Goodson in the flex. You have May, Bijan, Mixon, Flowers, Devontae Smith, Otten starting. Personally, for me, I would be starting Bigsby over Pop, Douglas, or Goodson this week there, Frizz. Appreciate you. Like I said, guys, if you guys are tuning in for the first time, we make content each and every day, so we appreciate y'all tuning in. We're if you subscribe, of course, we're answering all Start State questions all season, helping you guys win a fantasy football championship. So appreciate all that. John said top 3 running back rest season. Who were we talking about, John? Who are my top 3 running backs rest of the season? Is that what you're asking me? Or do you think Devon's going to be a top 3 running back rest of the season? Personally, for me, like my rest of the season, I have Saquon, Derrick Henry, and Kyron Williams as my top 3 running backs rest of the season. And who we got? Timbo says big head. Hey, listen, it is a big head. If you're talking about this, if you're saying it's smart though, it's a smart big head, bro. It's a smart big head. Ikanita said thanks. Jared said PPR dynasty, start 2 wide receivers and 3 flex. My team is hurting. Should I accept a trade? Giving away Jefferson and Swift from Evans, Waddle, Caleb Williams, JT. Is this Jared? Give me some more. Is it super flex, or is it only one quarterback? Because if it's me, I guess I'm assuming this is just one quarterback. Yeah, I would do that deal for Jefferson and Swift. 100% there, Jared. Get on JJ there. And then Fantasy Football Girl said, will Marvin Harrison Jr. play? TBD. What was the latest update for Marvin? I didn't see where he was at. I know he's trending down, like he's probably not. He practiced on Thursday, though. Did he practice today? So I guess he is trending to play this week. But he has until Monday. So he just got a clear concussion protocol. He practiced fully today, so it's looking like he will. Fantasy Football Girl. Sorry, I just had to do some digging. Jaime says, boys, get ready for the slugfest. 1-5 Pats versus Jags in London at 9:30. Preach. It's not going to be a good one. What did UK do to deserve this matchup? Thoughts on Jags or Pats D to stream? Personally, for me, I'd stream the Pats D versus Jags. I think there'll be more turnovers on that side. Just overall, Jaime. But yeah, that's going to be a nasty matchup. Shout out to the Jags having to play in London. Like, they're just living over there and they're struggling. The last Gremlin says Seahawks or Vikings defense coming into week 7. Let me pull up my defensive rankings this week. Last Gremlin, good to see you as well. Like I said, guys, appreciate all the love and support all y'all are giving me. Means the absolute world. We've been growing like crazy, and it's all because of you guys. And like I said, if you guys are just now finding us, shout out to all you. But I would be going with the Vikings defense this week, the last Gremlin, personally. Jason, appreciate you. You said, what do you think of my team overall? Lamar Jackson, running back Saquon, Barkley, Kyron Williams, Chase Brown, etc. Wide receivers Mike Evans, Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, Kyle Pitts, David Njoku. Cool. I like your team. I think your team, you got Lamar Jackson, you got Saquon, Kyron. So you got 2 top 5 running backs for the rest of the season. You got a top 3 quarterback. You got some really good wide receivers. You got Kyle Pitts. I give this team an A-, dude. You're looking really, really good there, Jason. RL3 said, which 2 you starting, Pop Douglas, Christian Kirk, or Josh Downs? I'm starting Pop Douglas and Josh Downs there, RL3. JB Cowboys 96 said, deep at wide receiver, thinking I need to trade for another running back. I've got Lamb, Marvin Harrison Jr., DK, Cooper Kupp, and Michael Wilson. Yeah, I think if you're going to trade one, honestly, it's probably between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Cooper Kupp. And I would probably just trade whoever's going to return you the most in your league. I think Cooper Kupp will probably provide more value for you. So, like, if you could trade Marvin Harrison Jr. for a guy like a Tony Pollard, that's a deal that I'd be looking to do, JB Cowboy, or even like a James Conner. Timbo said, cool, thanks. Cool, bro. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you and the wifey. C-Dog said, Kyler Richardson or Geno this week. Personally, for me, C-Dog, Kyler's been just absolute cheeks for everybody. But I think we got to go back to the well here with these decisions. I do have Geno as my QB 10, and then I have then I do have. I just don't know how I can tell you not to play. We can't do Kyler. Not versus the Chargers defense. They're going to eat him alive. I'd go Geno Smith. It was hard because there's the Konami quarterback upside of both Richardson and Kyler, and of course Geno doesn't have that. But I think C-Dog, you got to go with Geno over those other 2 options. And then Zona, appreciate you tuning in. Zona, but the second Zona is silent. Zona. I got an offer where I send Alexander Madison for Travis Etienne, 12-team Dynasty Superflex. Oh, yeah, give me Travis Etienne there, Zona, for sure. Give me Travis Etienne. I actually made an offer in a Dynasty League today where I would be offering Bucky Irving for Travis Etienne in Dynasty. So I'm right there with you. I think it's a good time to trade. Janess said, would you play Leggett over Bucky this week, especially if Deontay Johnson's out? Yes. Xavier Leggett will be getting pushed on my rankings and being ahead of Bucky, for sure. Uzi in the booth said, yo, got two different decisions. Tucker Kraft, Hunter Henry, or Kadon. Tucker Kraft. Also, Jordan Addison or Jordan Mason at the flex. All PPR. Thank you, Brody. I'd be going with Jordan Mason. And I understand it's a bad matchup versus the Chiefs. Hear me out. I understand that, Uzi in the booth, but I still have Jordan Mason ahead of Jordan Addison this week. Scrippy said, having big Mason concerns. I think it would be a committee. Gonna go Chase Brown and Pollard, but unsure if I should flex Leggett over Mason. Yeah, I understand there's a lot of upside and there's the Mason concerns. I know a lot of people have been having the Mason concerns in the chat here this week, but for me, I will still be going with Mason here over Leggett personally. Now, Jared, you said that I know you said it's one quarterback. I'd still do the deal there, Jared. And then PRF said, what type of trade would you consider for Neighbors? Oh, goodness, bro. I just don't know why you'd want to trade Neighbors. Like, dude's, what, top five wide receiver? I mean, the only way I'm trading Neighbors, can I get an A.J. Brown? Can I get an Amon-Ra? Can I get a CeeDee Lamb? Could I get a Justin Jefferson? Can I get a Jamar Chase? Like, those are the only reasons. Or if I could get Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. Otherwise, I'm holding Malik Neighbors there, PRF. And Jared, of course, bro. Thanks so much for tuning in. JB Cowboy 96 said, which wide receiver would you look to trade off for a running back? Any ideas on values I would be getting? At wide receiver, you got Lamb, Marvin Harrison Jr., DK. Yeah. I still lean Cup, or Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to return you the best running back that you need, and you definitely do need a running back. So, like I said, I don't know if you typed this after I answered the last one, but if I was to trade Marvin Harrison Jr., what are we getting here? What are we getting? Like James Conner or Tony Pollard would be who I'd be trying to trade for Marvin Harrison Jr. Cup, you might be able to get into a guy like a Josh Jacobs. That might be a guy I'd be interested in, or a Jonathan Taylor. But other than that, probably just holding firm with this team, JB Cowboy, because you got a good squad. Jaime said, you can't tell me Jags should move to London when I play franchise mode. I always move Jags to London, either keep the name or repay. Hey, I don't know. The con owners have put a ton of money into the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it's been sad. They just haven't been able to develop any sort of winning chemistry. Shaiwan said, Nick Chubb or Sermon. Shaiwan, this is one where I've told everyone this week to stay away from Nick Chubb, but in this certain circumstance, I'll tell you to roll out Nick Chubb over Trey Sermon, because it's hard to know if it's going to be a Sermon or if it's going to be Goodson this week. So I will just go with I'll go with Nick Chubb. Incognito said, got offered Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brandon Ayuk for A.J. Brown, half PPR. Should I accept? TK, I want A.J. Brown. I think you're trading away wide receiver 14 and 15 to get up, trading away a top 5 wide receiver to get 2 top 15 receivers. But I just want the points per game advantage that a guy like A.J. Brown is going to provide me, especially in half PPR. So give me A.J. Brown still there, bro. Edgar, appreciate you tuning in. He said, hey, Caleb, I might be overthinking, but should I start Gibbs or Bigsby? Matchups have me second guessing. I understand all of that, but I'm still starting Gibbs this week. Now, to be fair there, Edgar, I do have Gibbs in this Minnesota matchup down as my overall running back 13. So I don't even have him as an RB1. I have Tank as an RB20. So I have him almost, 7 spots apart. I still lean Jahmyr Gibbs for me, honestly, man. Thanks so much for tuning in, Edgar. Janesh said, you thinking Olave to the moon with Rashid being out rest of the season, or should I try to trade him away? I mean, depends on when Derek Carr is going to come back, I guess, Janesh, honestly, because I still have Chris Olave as a top 25 wide receiver. I think his value's down. So I think if you try to sell and trade him away now with trying to sell that same type of hopium, that your league mates aren't going to be buying it. So I would just wait a few weeks until he comes back, absolutely kills it. Then you can see what the offers are, or you just hold. Zona said, that's what I was thinking. Thanks, man. Appreciate you, Zona. Andrew said, yo, do I start Higgins, Tyreek, or Kareem Hunt at flex? Ooh, you got we got a rough here flex decision this week here, Andrew. So we got Kareem Hunt or Higgins. So where do I have Higgins and Hunt? Okay. I'm personally this week going to go with T. Higgins over Kareem Hunt. It's close, though. It's close. I have them almost 7 spots difference in my flex rankings, which flex rankings is always super close there, Andrew. So honestly, that's kind of my thoughts there. And like I said, guys, we are answering every start sit question this season. So if you are new and or just tune into the chat, hit the like button. Helps me out so much, helping answer everybody's start sit questions. Spencer said, which running back should I pair with Deontay for Drake London? Cook, Aaron Jones, Dobbins, or Hunt? If you could do Hunt, honestly, for Drake London, that's what I would do. And then if not, then I would just do Dobbins there, Spencer. But good on you to go get Drake London. I think that really helps your team. Scrippy said, is Brandon Ayuk for Tony Pollard highway robber? Yeah, give me Tony Pollard 100% there, Scrippy. Champagne 7 said, should I fill my IR spot with Jerome Ford or Dallas Goedert? I would go with Jerome Ford there, Champagne. I understand we got Nick Chubb coming back this week, but I would do it with Jerome Ford. And I feel like Dallas Goedert hasn't been, he's been an okay tight end this year, but I do want the running back upside on my bench. JB Cowboy said, thanks, Caleb. Yeah, I accidentally sent twice. Appreciate you, vids. Trying to stop the losing streak I'm on. Hey, bro, we'll get it bouncing back. Like we said, fantasy football is a game of chances. There is strategy involved, and so that's why I'm trying to help you guys out. But we all know it is a little bit of mostly luck at the end of the day. Champagne 7 said, I need to drop one McConkey, Pickens, or Downs. Which one? Ooh. Champagne, I feel like we got to say McConkey, but that's rough because all these guys are kind of in the same tier for me. Yeah, I think you got to hold George Pickens. I think you got to hold Josh Downs. I think it is McConkey, but it is sad after what we saw McConkey do last week. Jason said Kyron Williams and Mike Evans or CeeDee Lamb and Jonathan Taylor. Ooh, this is juicy there, Jason. I lean the CeeDee Lamb and Jonathan Taylor side. I mean, I still prefer CeeDee Lamb over Kyron Williams rest of the season, and then I think it's close between the next two. So I want the CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Taylor side. Champagne said, should I stream the Commanders or Chargers defense this week? That is a great question. Let me pull up my overall rankings. Like I said, guys, I appreciate everybody for all the freaking questions you guys are pouring into the chat. It means the absolute world. Thanks for tuning in on your Friday night, hanging out on the weekend with me. Should I stream the Commanders or the Chargers defense this week? I honestly don't love either of these options, but personally I would go with the Chargers defense before I would go with the Commanders defense if I were you. But like we said, it's not great for either. I wish there was better options for you out there on your waiver wire. I realized I was looking at the wrong defensive rankings for a second. Pause. Yeah, I saw the Chargers. Top 8 defense, Champagne. So give me the Chargers. Next question. Like I said, guys, absolutely appreciate everybody for hanging out tonight. Thanks, TK. C-Dog, so do I trade Kyler and Juju for Burrow? I would do it. Give me Burrow. Raymond, appreciate you. Like I said, guys, if this is your first time tuning in on the channel, I appreciate you guys so much. Love seeing new faces in the chat. You said CD and more on buys. Pick 2, Lockett, Watson, Cooper, Wilson. Also, which Wilson? Is this, are we talking Garrett Wilson? We talking Michael Wilson? Also need a flex. Chase Brown or Ty Chandler. Thank you. If I have to pick 2, I'm going to rank this out. I would do Garrett Wilson and Amari Cooper. If that is not Garrett Wilson, if that is Michael Wilson, then I would do Amari Cooper and Tyler Lockett. And then in regards to a flex, I would be going with Chase Brown there. Raymond, appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in and being here on the channel. Champagne said, who's better rest of season, Pickens or DJ Moore? Personally, Champagne, I would be going with DJ Moore, my guy. Andrew said, how about Higgins or Tyreek? This week or rest of season? I'll answer both for you. I will be going with T. Higgins this week, and then rest of season, I would want Tyreek. So just kind of depends on which way you're leaning there, Andrew, on your question. Champagne said, is Alexander Madison or Downs a better flex this week? I think for me this week, I got to go back. I think we got to start Alexander Madison. And I think there's a lot of these questions arising between the two. I just don't know how we can say to start Josh Downs. I mean, I have him as a top 31. I guess we roll. Do we go with it? Do we just roll out Josh Downs this week, even though we've seen historically with Anthony Richardson it hasn't worked out for him? Champagne, I think in this circumstance, I'll risk it. I'll risk it for Josh Downs. I think I'm talking myself into Josh Downs. I know my rankings are going to say otherwise, but in my heart of hearts here, I'm going with my gut, and I'm going to go with Josh Downs. Maybe I'm too low on Josh Downs this week. Bryce said Devon or Mason full PPR. Good question. Good question. Let's go back to running back rankings. And I will be going with Jordan Mason. Even though, Bryce, hear me out, it's a bad matchup. We saw lack of production for him last week going up against a very tough front seven. I just think the box score is going to give him some touchdown upside there over Devon. And then Bryce said pick 2, Kupp, BTJ, Garrett Wilson. I personally go with Garrett Wilson and Kupp this week. But Garrett Wilson has gotten pushed down my board. He is my wide receiver 19 this week. And then I do have BTJ as my wide receiver 22. So if you kind of want to debate that too, Bryce, like I understand. I do have them pretty close. Shout out to Johnny coming in with the super chat. Thank you so much for the $1.99, bro. Means the absolute world. Thanks for supporting the channel. You said Tracy, Leggett, or Watson at flex half PPR. Well, let's dive into this here, Johnny. So we got Leggett, and when we look at Leggett this week, of course, if Deontay Johnson's going to be out, right now I have him as my overall wide receiver 41. That will go flying up the board. And then we got Tyrone Tracy as my RB 27 this week. So I do have Xavier Leggett ahead of Tyrone Tracy. And then Christian Watson I have down as my wide receiver 45. So personally for me, Johnny, I will be going with Xavier Leggett. Talked about him in my video today. But I would be going with Xavier Leggett. Even better news for you if Deontay Johnson's not going to play there. Personally, my guy. So go with some Xavier Leggett. Like I said, guys, appreciate everyone for tuning in and being here on the channel. Champagne says, should I start Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield? Champagne, I will be starting Baker Mayfield this week over Kyler Murray. Philip said, if Kupp doesn't play, who should I start at flex? Juju, McConkey, or Michael Wilson? If Harrison doesn't play, I'll personally be going with Juju no matter what there. Philip, for you. Appreciate you so much for tuning in. Like I said, guys, if this is your first time on the channel, hit that like button. If you guys are returning, it helps me out so much. We are growing like crazy. Want to answer everybody's start sit questions, unless they're in your own league. Scrippy said, Jaden Reed for Devontae Adams. Scrippy, I personally still want the Jaden Reed side. I understand the hype of Devontae Adams is out there, but I do want the Jaden Reed side. Champagne said, start 2, Brian Thomas Jr., Amari Cooper, Chuba Hubbard, Zay Flowers. I will be going with Chuba Hubbard and Zay Flowers there, Champagne. Appreciate you, but Amari Cooper in future weeks will be a little bit more interesting. We got Gary says 0.5 PPR. Appreciate seeing you again, Gary. You said Ramondre, Bigsby, or JMO. Thanks. Where do I have Ramondre versus Bigsby? Let me double check. Yeah, I will be going. Because what we got Ramondre right now. Where's his injury status at? He says he's expected to play. I think I lean at this moment, Gary, with going with Tony Pollard. But I also understand the upside of a guy like a Jameson Williams. It's there too. I have them pretty close. So I personally go with Tank Bigsby, but I understand if you go with a guy like JMO, Gary. So I appreciate you tuning in, but especially in a half PPR, I kind of always lean the running back. Champagne 7 said flex Connor, Robinson Jr., and J.K. Dobbins this week. Ooh, this is an interesting one because this is the part where Brian Robinson versus Carolina, it's kind of like a smash play, especially if he plays in the second half. Could be all Brian Robinson Jr. So I lean Brian Robinson Jr., Champagne, but if he doesn't play, then I would go with Connor. Gage said, is James Conner going to play this week? Wow. Back-to-back questions of great reality of where we're at with James Conner. What? Did he practice? I'm looking to see if we got any word on James Conner. Yeah, it's looking like he's ready to play. So, unless I'm missing something. But I assume he is, Gage. Jack said, I have Amari Cooper and got offered Jordan Addison and Demario Douglas. I'm definitely thinking about it. Amari's drop issue is a concern. Jack, it is, but bro, it was a drop issue because he was playing with freaking Deshaun Watson. Now he gets Josh Allen, which is the best quarterback he's played with since Dak. I'll just wait it out because I think Amari Cooper, his value is going to go soaring up the moment that he has a 20-point game with Josh Allen. It's a valid question though, Jack. So I'm like I said, I'm not over here berating you or down talking your decision making because Pop Douglas is good. I said he's a poor man's Antonio Brown, and Jordan Addison's look good. So I think it's honestly like a fair deal, but I think Amari Cooper's value is going to go up going forward. So I want the Amari Cooper side. Yanni, appreciate you being here. Thoughts on today's drama with Andy Reid saying Mahomes wasn't a team player and won't make it if he doesn't tighten it up? Unpopular opinion, but I think Jonathan Taylor got him this year. New sub, bro. Well, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks so much for tuning in to the channel. It means the absolute world. Like I said, guys, if you guys are just now finding me, we put out videos 7 days a week. We answer all of our comments. We answer all start-sit questions. We stream multiple times a week. It's like a great community we're building over here. So I want you guys here in it. In regards to Mahomes not being a team player, I just think it's been a struggling year for Mahomes. I think Andy Reid is trying to light a fire under his star quarterback. They have a great relationship. It reminds me a little bit of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady back in the day before everything kind of turned sour. So I do think he does need to tighten it up. But you said unpopular opinion, but I think Jonathan Taylor got him this year. Like, what do you mean? Like in fantasy football rankings? Because I do think like we'll have to see. We'll have to see with them going forward. I mean, the struggle has been the lack of receiving weapons for the Kansas City Chiefs there, Yanni. So hopefully he can tighten things up. Hopefully this offense can go back to being pretty electric because it's kind of hard to start Patrick Mahomes if you drafted him so high. Champagne 7 said start Chuba Hubbard, Pollard, or Chase Brown. Champagne, the fact that you only get to start one of these options this week, bro. I'd be going with Chuba Hubbard, but I have Tony Pollard as a top 10 option too, bro. So the fact that you can't start Tony Pollard, you must have an absolute stacked team. But I would be going with Chuba Hubbard. Raymond said Michael Wilson. LOL. Thanks, Raymond. That's what I thought too when you said. I was like, these are all. It seems like a bunch of I don't want to say scrubs, but that's what it felt like. But appreciate you, Raymond. Janess said, what can BTJ or Devontae Smith plus Bucky get me for a running back? You have Breeze. What can BTJ plus Bucky can probably get you into? Let me give you some examples. But like I said, guys, if you guys haven't checked out the Fantasy Football Calc Trade Database, that'll definitely help you over me just telling you, giving you some ideas on your players, because you can put those in and see what the deals look like that are actually going down in real leagues, because that's what I use in my trade videos. But if you got BTJ and Bucky, we could probably be looking at you getting up into a Brian Robinson Jr. potentially, or a J.K. Dobbins, David Montgomery potentially. But if you add in Devontae Smith, that's kind of where things get a little bit more exciting, where we probably get into a Jonathan Taylor or a Josh Jacobs there, Janesh, depending on how active your league's looking to trade. PRF said, I'm looking to deal Garrett Wilson. What would I be looking for in return? Oh, goodness, bro. PRF, we're selling at a low point. I think you're probably going to be better. So there's two sides of this coin. Garrett Wilson, his value is going to be lowered, but it's going to be potential to go up. I think right now he's probably somewhere around wide receiver 14 right now. So can you trade him for Tony Pollard, Diggs, Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner, Monty? Those are deals, PRF, that I'd be looking for to get off of Garrett Wilson, because cool, maybe it really helps him and he absolutely emerges, but there's no way he's going to be getting 20 targets with Devontae Adams. So just have to be realistic here, and you're talking to a guy who has the jersey behind him. Jason said, what is Tyreek's value right now? Since we're assuming Tua is coming back in a few weeks, is he buy low? Yeah, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. might be enough. Honestly, I'll say this. He's gone flying up my rest of season rankings. He got down at one point to wide receiver 17. He's now back up to a top 10 wide receiver. So I'm saying this, Jason, it's only going to become more expensive the closer we get to the return of Tua. So I definitely go try to trade for him right now. Kyle, appreciate you tuning in. Since someone offered me Keenan Allen and Jay Cook from Malik Neighbors and Daddle, do I take this offer? No, bro. I'm keeping Malik Neighbors and Daddle, Kyle. Hold the fort, bro. Hold the fort. We want Malik Neighbors. We want Daddle. You are going to be absolute fleeced if you take this, bro. Do not take it. But appreciate you tuning in, Kyle, and asking before you accept it. Green screen said, if Deontay's out, do I start JMO or Downs? I would start Jamison Williams, green screen. But like I said, I think Downs is a good player. We just need to see him do it with Anthony Richardson before I'm full on go with Josh Downs. Scrippy said, where's the confidence for Mason coming from? I'm just curious if you watched last week's game. I did. I just highly doubt they choose to run him into the ground. They have guys that are capable. Okay. So, Scrippy, you bring up valid points. Because if we're being realistic, last week was a terrible day for Jordan Mason when we're looking at him. Honestly, the last 2 weeks versus Arizona and versus Seattle haven't been good. Like we said, there is still a chance he's working back from that sprained AC joint. So, there's a chance that he doesn't play. So, I hear you. But I think it's in relative to where all the other running backs are like around him and their matchups. Like I said, Jordan Mason is my RB15 this week. I don't feel like it's ridiculous. Like I have Jordan Mason like ahead of guys like Kareem Hunt and David Montgomery. I have him behind Josh Jacobs, Brian Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, J.K. Dobbins. So like I'm not saying it's like terrible. I'm just saying I don't know. Like it's just where I have him in my ranking, Scrippy. So I've had him higher. So like of course I've had a lot more trust in him. I did think it's the overall landscape of fantasy this week, Scrippy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Philip said Josh Jacobs or Ramondre Stevenson at RB2. Philip, I'll be going with Josh Jacobs. David said, yo, good morning from Hong Kong. Good morning, bro. I'm about to go to bed. You said need 2 flex, Christian Watson, Eckler, McConkey, Demario Douglas. Personally for me here, David, I will be going with Eckler and I will be going with Demario Douglas. But good morning to you too, bro. And hope you absolutely demolish your fantasy football lineup. The fact that you have to, stay up super late to watch football on our Sundays is crazy, bro. I can't imagine what your work-life balance is like. BK said Gibbs or Jones full PPR going to Sunday. You're going to the game on Sunday. Congrats, bro. Well, I'm going to probably tell you to play the wrong player and you're going to be peeved at me, but I'd still go with Jahmyr Gibbs this week, BK. And then Incognito said, what most important in fantasy? Draft picks, waiver wire pickups, start sit decisions, or luck? Or something else? That's a good question. I mean, all of it, really. Because you could draft the most crappy team and then you pick up Puka Nacua and it helps save your roster. Like last year, you could have picked up Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams and that could have probably saved your roster. So I think the most important thing, honestly, is probably your draft picks. Like if you draft a high talented squad from the jump, then it can be molded. So I would argue it's draft picks, then waiver wire decisions, then luck, then start sit decisions. Because if you don't have a team to kind of decide who your start sit decisions are going to be, it's going to be hard. Essentially Bad said, hey brother, just got offered Nico Collins, Etienne, and Bigsby for Tony Pollard. What's the move? Oh goodness, bro. Essentially Bad, I'm assuming you have other running backs to go with. Honestly, bro, I'm partially going with the Nico Collins side because I think we're going to have to wait 2 more weeks on Nico Collins. But as long as you are in a position where you say, hey, if I go 1-1 these next 2 weeks, I'll be fine, then I'm 100% taking the Nico Collins side. If you're super desperate for points in the running back spot, then of course I hold Tony Pollard. But I personally want the Nico Collins ETN side there because you're also getting Tank Bigsby. RR Edits, bro. Appreciate you. I actually checked out your channel today, bro. So thanks so much for tuning into the channel all the time. You said start Trey Tucker this week, which is in reference to the fact that Jacoby Myers might not play. I started Trey Tucker in a league the other day, and it was just bad. It wasn't great last week. So going back to the well with Trey Tucker, where do I have Trey Tucker ranked this week? That's the real question. I mean, I have Trey Tucker as my wide receiver 52. So lacking a little bit of confidence this week in Trey Tucker, bro. So unless you got to give me an option and I'll tell you start sit. Jason, of course, bro. Thanks so much for tuning into the channel. Chaka said, hey, I have to start 4 between Kupp, Higgins, Devontae Smith, Deontay, BTJ, Amari, Hunt, Ramondre. Yeah, assuming they all play. I'll go with Deontay, Kupp, Higgins, Devontae Smith. I do like Hunt, and Hunt would be my 5th. Honestly, there, Chaka. Johnny38 said, happy Friday, Caleb. Half PPR start Devontae Smith or Ramondre Stevenson. Johnny, I will be going with Devontae Smith there. Fantasy Football Girl said, Stroud or Sam Darnold. I will be going with Sam Darnold this week. I like the overall matchup. Not that I don't like CJ Stroud versus Green Bay. I just like Sam Darnold versus Detroit and the overall Vegas point spread a little bit more for Sam Darnold. Orange 403 says 2 flex spots open, full PPR, Xavier Worthy, Demario Douglas, Jalen Waddle, Ramondre Stevenson. I will be going with Pop Douglas and Ramondre Stevenson, my guy. it's hard for me to tell you Jalen Waddle with Tyler Huntley as a quarterback and then Xavier Worthy. This offense has kind of been struggling. So I lean with Ramondre Stevenson or Xavier Worthy. Flo, appreciate you being here. Said, bro, running back room is in shambles. Oh, goodness. You said Tyrone Tracy, Bucky Irvin, Dearness Johnson, Braylon Allen. Flo, you are in shambles, bro, but I would go with Bucky Irving and Tyrone Tracy if I were you. I don't care if Devin Singletary is starting this week for Tyrone Tracy. I'm rolling with Tyrone Tracy. So appreciate you, Flo. Brian says, yo, start T over Debo. Ooh, yes, I would start T over Debo. And who could I possibly get for Jordan Reed? I need a running back bad. You have Stevenson and Tracy starting. Oh man, bro. I'm sorry you're in that position. I honestly, I hate trading away Jaden Reed with how he's currently playing. Could you get Josh Jacobs for him? Or Tony Pollard? Like, that's kind of the range of running backs you'd be looking for Jaden Reed right now, which is why I kind of like to hold him. But if you can't, then Tony Pollard or Josh Jacobs. Johnny38 said, Caleb, thoughts on Nick Chubb for the rest of the season? Will he go back to being RB1 status, or should we sell high with this week? Yeah, bro. I wish I could tell you, Johnny. ACL, MCL injuries are all different. I think there's only been a few running backs that have come back and looked absolutely elite. Saquon was not even elite, and we thought he was like the second coming of Adrian Peterson off that. So Nick Chubb, I'm a little bit worried about him rest of season. Where do I have him rest of season? That's a great question. I have him right now as my RB36 rest of the season, but that's because I haven't seen anything. So it's hard for me to like really rank him unless we know how healthy he is there, Johnny. So not feeling super great, but he's there. He's there. So if you have him, we hope things change. Jaime said, sorry for repeating the same question. Should I do Mason plus Amari for K9 and Olave? Yes. Give me K9 and Olave. I would do that, Jaime, for sure. Green Screen said, would Deontay and JK be enough for Tyreek, or am I paying too little / too much? Yeah, Deontay, I feel like right now I have Deontay as my overall wide receiver 17. And then what? J.K. Dobbins is my overall running back 21. It feels like a lot just because we don't know what's happening with Tua. So I'm probably... But you're going to have to trade that to get Tyreek on your team with an upside shot. So green screen, it really depends on like where you need both of them. Like, I feel okay if you feel good at your running back position, getting rid of and doing this deal. But it does feel expensive. Like, I almost would rather do this deal, if I'm being honest, green screen, to go get, I get Chris Godwin? Like, could I get Drake London? Like, that would make me feel better. I think they have similar level upside rest of the season. I mean, Tyreek Hill is an absolute game breaker, but we're relying on Tua Tagovailoa. Jaime said, did Esme ruin his stash value after he fumbled? He was doing really good until he dropped. Yeah, I think he did. Plus, we saw Javonte absolutely pop off. So, personally, for me, I lean with, not necessarily stashing him, looking at other options. Which Jaime, like I said, guys, if you guys haven't tuned in, tomorrow we will be releasing the stash video. So, if you guys want some stash options, giving you guys some more stash options tomorrow. Scrippy said, thanks for always answering with thoughtful answers, bro. Definitely appreciate it. You have a good night. Good luck, bro. Thanks so much for tuning in. Something said, Devontae Adams, Juju, or Chase Brown in the flex. Ooh. I think we're going... Adams is going to be a full go. So I think we got to go with Devontae Adams. I have Chase Brown 4 spots behind something, so I understand maybe leaning that way, but I'll roll with Devontae Adams and that upside. Incognito, appreciate you. You said, Janess said, is this a fair trade? Give Mason, Burrow, Pickens, Olave, get Marvin Harrison Jr., D Swift, JD5. Give Mason, Burrow, Pickens. Yes. Give me what you're getting. Yeah, 100%. Give me the Marvin Harrison Jr., Swift, and JD5 side, Janess. You're killing it. Essentially Bad said, what kind of running back could I trade for with DJ Moore or J-Mo? I'm desperate in the running back position with Tony Pollard and Stevenson and waiting on CMC. Yeah, well, the good news is hopefully that starts to change here for you pretty soon. But if you're trying to trade away like DJ Moore, you might be able to get Swift or like a Chuba Hubbard type, which you're not going to feel great about. And then Jamison Williams is a little bit lower, so you're probably going to be in like the Travis Etienne, Bucky Irving range for Jamison Williams there essentially. But like I said, go check out Fantasy Football Trade database, Fantasy Football Calc Trade database. It pulls in all trades from a bunch of different platforms that are happening like daily. So it always gives me ideas. Like if I have players, I'm like, oh, like what can I get for this guy? Like you can actually go see what real life trades are doing instead of like, which I use in all my trade videos because I feel like it really helps give you guys better analysis on what's actually happening in the market. Janesh said also he has Josh Allen. Boom. Janesh, great trade. Our edit says, should I trade Zach Moss when Brooks comes back and Conklin with Hawkinson coming back? I mean, yes, I would. I don't know if you're going to be able to trade Conklin, but I would try to trade Zach Moss. So I like that for you. Lon said, Caleb, the Ducks are still rolling tonight after a great game last week. Oh, rub it in. Rub it in. It was bad. It was bad last week. I had the whole week to like freaking sulk in Alon. You said touchdown heavy, V Hall or Josh Jacobs. I go with Breece Hall. And then I would go with James Cook over Tank Dell there, Lon. Appreciate you, bro. PRF said, where do you rank Stephon Diggs? This week, I have Stephon Diggs pretty highly rated. I have him as a top 8 wide receiver. So feel pretty confident in Stephon Diggs this week. Josh Mann said, what do you think of this trade I did? I traded Holland Kirk for Godwin and Brian Robinson Jr. Well, essentially Kirk is irrelevant here. So I like the deal for you. You got a top 8 wide receiver for me the rest of the season, and you got a top 16 running back. I mean, trading away Breece Hall is hard. You're giving away the best player in the deal, but I think you tiered off pretty well there, Josh. Brian Soto said, Rams D against the Raiders this week or Green Bay? I will be going with the Rams D personally. So roll out some Rams over the Green Bay defense there, Brian Soto. Appreciate you tuning in. Essentially bad. Would you trade JMO away for Olave? Yes. Give me Chris Olave for JMO. I will. Yeah, shout out to Jaime. Give me them stash options coming out tomorrow afternoon. Expector Roar said, should I trade Lamar? I mean, depends on what you can get, bro. Depends on what you can get. He's up there though. Like Lamar's been a league winner. I have him as, of course, he's like the QB1. You could argue him or Jaden Daniels at the top. So I'm feeling very confident if you have Lamar that you just keep it rolling. Jaime said, thoughts on McManus being a streaming option? Brandon Aubrey on by LOL. We're asking kicker questions. Jaime, bro. I don't know. McManus, let's see where we have. I don't think I can tell you that. I think there's some better options this week than McManus, at least when we're talking like streaming. I have him down. I don't really do kicker rankings, so I'm like looking like what he's probably like the back end 16. Like I think you could probably find a better option here, Jaime, on the waiver wire. Trick said, after playing Bub memes this week, he's getting released next week. Tricks, I told you, bro. I told you. I was not in on Bub, but you had some really bad options, Tricks, so I'll be clear. It was hard. Lewis, appreciate you being here. You said Darnold or A-Rich, they have identical over-unders on Underdog Fantasy on Fantasy Points, LOL. Lewis, shout out to you. Shout out to you for being in the underdog streets. Honestly, I'd be going with Sam Darnold, though. The Vegas sports books, at least the points, the over-under actual points, I would go with Sam Darnold. Because it's going to be a higher score game, according to Vegas. Like we said, it's all according to Vegas. Jenna said, I dropped Chuba after his week 1 performance for Mason, then dropped Rico Dotto week 2. Oh, my goodness. LOL, bro. Well, this almost deserves like a sad trombone right there. So, yeah, I would, that's rough, Janesh. That's rough. PRF said, when is Jonathan Brooks coming back? I thought it was this week. It looked like it potentially was going to be this week or next week. So I guess they still have time to make that update, but I'm not worried about him starting or anything like that. Matthew said, hey, how's it going? Want someone else's opinion on starting 2 running backs this week? Have Mason, B-Rob, Hunt, and Aaron Jones. Yeah, so we're looking here. Like I said, everyone's been making fun of me. Brian Robinson for sure. And then I would be going with Jordan Mason over Kareem Hunt, but I do have Kareem Hunt like 2 spots behind Jordan Mason. So I know a lot of people, Matthew, are worried about Kareem Hunt. If you're or not worried about Jordan Mason versus his Kansas City front 7, if that's you, then I'm cool with you starting Kareem Hunt over Jordan Mason. It's close enough. But for sure, Brian Robinson, I absolutely love that matchup this week for you. Matthew, like I said, appreciate you guys so much. If you guys are just finding the channel, hit that like button on your way in and on your way out, answering every start sit question for you guys this season. Kyle said, if Marv plays, do I start over Xavier Worthy? Kyle, 100% start Marv over Xavier Worthy if he does play. Mike LB said, start Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love this week. Jalen Hurts for me this week, Michael. For my flex, I got Wandale Robinson, Cooper Kupp, and Juju, who's a start. Cooper Kupp if he plays, which we're assuming he's going to play, so go with Cooper Kupp. And then thanks for your help every week, bro. I always tune in. You're the man. Appreciate you, Michael. Yeah, so Jalen Hurts and Cooper Kupp, your team is rounding back up out of injuries. We absolutely love to see it. Timbo said, where do have Addison, Darnell, and Juju ranked for this week. I'm thinking they're all about the same. Yeah, they are all relatively the same here, Timbo. Giving you some relative data. We got Darnell as our wide receiver 23. I have Jordan Addison as my wide receiver 25. And then I have Juju ranked as, where do I have Juju? As my overall wide receiver 31. So granted, they are all like kind of close, but I would go with Darnell, Mooney, Addison, and then Juju. And then Timbo said on Rotoball, they have Juju ranked 24. I don't have him that high. I do not have him that high, Timbo. But I also respect the guys over at Rotoballer. They do have some pretty good rankings. So, yeah, I personally have Juju as the third, though. Expector says, should I drop Jerry Jeudy? I mean, he's the clear one for the Cleveland Browns. Just depends on what that overall volume is going to look like for him. Depends on who else is out there on waivers. Jackie said, would you trade Ingram plus Drake to upgrade to Neighbors, or is it too lateral? No, I don't think it's too lateral. Depends on who your starting tight end is, but I do want the Neighbors side there still, even though it does feel like a lot. RR Edit said Diggs and Evans a good wide receiver core. Yeah, until Nico Collins comes back, and then we feel a little bit less about Stephon Diggs. But I think until Nico Collins comes back, you got to feel really good about this overall wide receiver core. Kyle said, I really want to move off Hunt while he's still worth something. Who do you think I should target for Hunt? Yeah, that's a great question here, Kyle. I think you look at it two ways. You either ride the gravy train while we have it, or it's just going to be, you're probably not going to get like full level value because people do realize Isaiah Pacheco's coming back. But the question is at what point is Isaiah Pacheco going to come back? And so that's like, here, let's pull up. Like, you probably could trade him for like a Bucky Irving, a Rico Dowdle, maybe Najee Harris, Amari Cooper right now. But like, do you want those guys or do you want Kareem Hunt over the next 3 weeks? I would argue you want Kareem Hunt. Scorpio, appreciate you tuning in. You said trade Devontae Adams for Malik Neighbors. Give me Malik Neighbors there, Scorpio, 100%. If someone's willing to buy the hype of Devontae Adams, thinking it's going to go back to being the same, I want the Malik Neighbors side 100%, 10 out of 10 times there, Scorpio. So give me that side. Bullseye said start one running back this week, Najee Harris, Chase Brown, or Tyrone Tracy. Bullseye, I will personally be going with Chase Brown, have him ahead of Najee Harris and Tyrone Tracy this week. Appreciate you tuning in. And Matthew said, thanks. Yeah, BRC Automatic was on the fence between Hunt and Mason. Feel like they have a very similar output, but worried about Mason coming out mid-game again. I feel you. I feel you. We are worried about that injury. Squid said, if Marvin Harrison Jr. plays, would you start him over Mooney or Addison? I would. I would, Squid. I personally would. But if you have to decide between Mooney and Addison, I do have Mooney. So I have Marvin Harrison Jr., Mooney, and Addison would be my rankings. Trick said, if Wilson is starting between him and Fields' chemistry getting better with Pickens, we have Pickens stock now. We'll see. I don't know. Pickens seems to be happy about it, but I cannot be convinced. I cannot be convinced. We got Scorpio said I traded CD for Jahmyr Gibbs and DJ Moore. My friend said I got scammed. I mean, I think if you were telling me this, we would need to see a little bit more from DJ Moore for me to feel super comfortable trading away CD Lamb. So I understand your friend probably wanting the CD Lamb side because I personally want the CD Lamb side, but especially if you needed to tier off and get two better players, I understand why you did it. Appreciate you, Timbo. Bullseye said, I'm tempted to start DeMario Pop Douglas over Brian Thomas Jr. Is that a bad idea? I don't think it's a bad idea. I just have them 4 spots apart. So I personally still want Brian Thomas Jr., but I am pretty high on Pop Douglas. Ajay, appreciate you being here. You said Hurts or Mayfield this week. I do have Hurts 4 spots ahead of Mayfield. And then have Bigsby and Tracy. Bigsby. Do I keep them or get Dowdle and C.H. Brooks instead? If you were trading, I'd rather have, if you're trading Bigsby and Tracy for Dowdle and either of those, like I prefer Brooks. Or I prefer, I prefer Dowdle as the trade, but then I also prefer, like if you got Brooks or CH, I don't think it's a bad move. So I like either of those trades for you, but I personally go with the Jalen Hurts starting this week at Jay. But if you need me to answer that more in depth, I can as well. Our edit says, should I be trading Devon anytime this season? I mean, he's at the lowest value, so it's kind of bad to trade him right now. I would say right now, if you could trade him for Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, I'd be okay with that. Otherwise, you're just holding him, hoping, because we saw elite level upside earlier on in the season, our edits. Janess said, Evan Ingram was on waiver while hurting someone, scooped him up last week. RIP, there's Njoku on waivers I can pick up. Would you drop Tolbert or Dunze Leggett for him? If you need a tight end super bad, I would. And I would just drop, I'd probably drop Odunze to go get Njoku there, Janesh. Joel said 0.5 PPR, pick 2, Garrett Wilson, Demario Douglas, Austin Eckler, Eileen Pop, and Eileen George Pickens. So Demario Douglas and George Pickens, my guy. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looks like you're a Houston Astros fan, so appreciate all the love. Like I said, guys, if this is your first time tuning in to the channel, we answer every start sit question. We are doing multiple streams a week, and we answer all of our comments on our videos. So once you guys here in the community, helping you win a fantasy football championship in 2024. Essentially Bad said, do I sell on more JMO, Mooney, and Pollard while they are semi-high valued? Basically, do you think some of them will fall off in the near future? Thanks for your help. I'll be tuning in to hear more. Appreciate you, Essentially Bad. Honestly, I think fantasy football is just like an up and down game. So if you can get better studs, then of course, I like Tony Pollard. I would not be selling high. I think the value is pretty good on his workload. In regards to Mooney, JMO, and Moore, they are all really inconsistent wide receivers. So 100%. I think saying fall off, that's a bold word. I just think, like we said, we're riding a little bit of a roller coaster on the wide receiver front. So you're just trying to get the wide receivers when they're at their utmost value, because right now there's probably 8 really consistent wide receivers, and then there's a bunch of, really huge spike games. So that's kind of my opinion on those wide receivers. RP10, always appreciate you. Like I said, our music stopped again. Or we got, here we got, where we at for the music for stream? Yeah, we'll get this playing again. Said start Geno or Kyler. I will be starting Geno this week, RP10. And then you said flex Hunt or Devontae Smith. That is a close one for me, but I will personally be going with Devontae Smith there, RP10. And then Raymond said, would you trade Amari Cooper for Zay Flowers? Give me Zay Flowers. Yeah, have Lamar, thanks. Easily, Raymond. That's an easy deal for me. I understand there's huge upside with Amari Cooper going to Josh Allen, but give me Zay Flowers and that production. Ali Baldwin, appreciate you tuning in. Shout out to Hunter. I think this is Hunter. I said, yo, it's Hunter. Will you go live tomorrow? Hunter, I will not be live tomorrow, no. Tomorrow I will be going to Iowa-Michigan State football game, which I'm not even, like I said, I'm a Ohio State fan, but my family, my in-laws are big Iowa fans, so they invited us to the game. The tickets were like literally $10 a person because my brother-in-law is a firefighter, so I was like, yeah, cool, I'll go. So I will not be live tomorrow. I will be posting a video, though, Hunter, and you can ask me start sit questions, and I will answer all of them tomorrow as well. But feel free to ask me tonight. But I will be ending stream here pretty soon because I've been streaming for almost 2 hours at this point. So I appreciate everybody, and I got to get my video edited for tomorrow and get some sleep. Brian said, just did this trade. Connor, BTJ, and Bucky for Walker and Pittman. Thoughts? I'm cool with it. Give me Kenneth Walker. I understand you probably give up, like, Walker's the #1 target, then it's like Connor, BTJ, and then maybe Bucky and Pittman are close, but I do want the Walker side there, Brian. Good trade. In a 14-team league, huge. John said, my quarterback is Kyler, my tight ends are Kraft and Henry. Should I drop Henry and pick up May? It's hard because I think Hunter Henry, his value is going to go up with playing with Drake May like we saw last week, and there's been inconsistencies on both sides, but Kyler's also been super inconsistent. And if Drake May continues to ball out, like Drake May's first game, granted, I know it wasn't week 1 of the season like Jaden Daniels, like Bo Nix, like Caleb Williams, but it was better than those guys. So I do think there's potential, a huge amount of potential with Drake May. So if I'm you, I'm probably doing it, but I also understand if you want to keep that tight end production. Philip said, I traded for Josh Jacobs a few weeks ago because everyone was saying he's a great buy low candidate, but he hasn't done much since the trade. I may, do you think if his points will go up? Yeah, I think Josh Jacobs, realistically, he's not a league winner. He's a high-end RB2. So I have him ahead of a guy like a Tony Pollard in my rest of season ranking. So I have him as my RB12 rest of season. So I feel okay about it, but I don't think you should be expecting like league-winning production there, Philip. Janice says, where do you have Nico rest of season? Who's ahead of him? That's a good question. So, of course, with the injury, we pushed Nico Collins down the board. But currently right now, I have him sitting as my wide receiver 17. So I have guys like Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf ahead of him in my rest of season rankings. But, of course, if he comes back fully healthy, then he will get boosted back up the board. Bullseye said, start one Zach Moss or Chase Brown. I will personally be starting some Chase Brown this week. And shout out to Brian. Appreciate you, bro. We have caught up on all questions. I saw 2 people just subscribed. So we are going to be answering for the next, I would say, next like 5 minutes, answering every start sit question Appreciate all you guys. Like I said, we are continuing to grow this community, continuing to answer all your guys' questions. So I just appreciate all the love that y'all give me all the time. Hunter said, okay, should I start May or AR? I would start, I have Anthony Richardson higher this week, Hunter, but I could debate going a different way. And Jacobs or Tracy, I would be going with Jacobs. And who should I shop Jacobs for? This is my biggest matchup of the year. Yeah, if you're trying to get rid of Jacobs, it depends if you need another running back. Like I said, could you flip him for Devon or Jonathan Taylor? But that's not going to help you now. Could you flip Josh Jacobs for a Tyreek Hill before he gets, super popping, or a DK Metcalf? Those would be some guys, Hunter, that I'd be looking to trade for. But shout out to you, bro. Glad you're tuning in here. Don't know if you got grounded or something because you're on your mom's account, but sorry if you're grounded. Sorry if you did something bad. John said, I always got grounded, Hunter, growing up, so I feel bad. Feel bad for you, but you'll make it through. John said, if I picked up May, should I start him over Kyler? It's close. I mean, I have Drake May a few spots behind, but I personally still go Kyler over Drake May there, John. London games are just weird. Joseph Park, appreciate you for tuning in. You said, full PPR, should I trade away Garrett Wilson and Mooney for Kupp and Higgins? I have Nico and Pacheco injured right now, if that helps. Yeah, I would do it. Give me Kupp and Higgins. I went the Kupp and Higgins side, Joseph Park, pretty resoundingly, and you're 5-1. That's huge. But I think that deal's a steal if I get the Kupp and Higgins side. RP10, should I drop Zach Moss to waivers for Hunter Henry? My only other tight end is Kincaid, and I don't like his matchup too much. I'm still holding on to Zach Moss there over Hunter Henry there, RP10, honestly. Bullseye said, Sam Darnold or Kyler Murray. Really appreciate you answering all of our questions. Like I said, guys, appreciate you guys. I'm going Sam Darnold. I have Sam Darnold pretty high this week, QB7. Kyler Murray is my QB11. So I feel confident starting our boy Sam Darnold this week over Kyler Murray. Appreciate you, Bullseye. Frizz said, what about Juju, Bigsby, Leggett if Deontay doesn't play for flex? I would go with Leggett. It's between Leggett and Bigsby, but I would go with Leggett there, Frizz. Nino said, traded Evans and Tank Dell for AJ Brown. Was that an overpay? Maybe slightly, Nino, but I think when we get Nico Collins back, Tank Dell will probably go back to being an okay value. So I do want AJ Brown there as the best player in the deal. We got Essential said, do you think Ramondre bounces back? Any trade targets for him? I think he probably does bounce back this season. I mean, I have him still as my RB22. Could you trade him for J.K. Dobbins, CMC, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson? I don't think you probably can do it for Brian Robinson or Aaron Jones. So CMC or J.K. Dobbins would be the only options there. In regard to some wide receivers, could you trade Ramondre for Devontae Adams, T. Higgins? Those would kind of be the deals essential that I'd be looking for. Hunter said, already got Reek. What running backs? Did I give you running backs? I thought I gave you running backs. Did I give you some running backs for Josh Jacobs? Devon, Jonathan Taylor. Those would be the guys. Joe Mixon. You can get any of those guys. I feel good about it. Hunter. Nino said, also, I don't know what is exactly, but I'm starting to get a panic meter on James Cook. Would you try flipping him for Dobbins plus or just hold on? Nino, I would just hold on. This offense, especially with an Amari Cooper, should be improved. So I feel confident in kind of waiting it out. Nino said Caleb equals a GOAT. Appreciate you. Frizz said, yeah, I also picked up May because Murray's been slacking. Not sure if I trust Murray versus Chargers, but London games can be tricky. 1 in 5 can't afford to make risky starts, though, so I don't know. I feel that. Personally, like I said, both are pretty risky. I go with Murray, though. Joel said, have Denver defense and Minnesota defense. Can I drop either or just hold both and play the matchups? I would just hold both and play the matchups each week. I mean, Vikings are top 5 defense for me, and Denver is a top 12 rest of season. So I feel like you can kind of just play those matchups. And if we really need to drop one for a waiver wire, we definitely can down the line. And have a chain if that helps as well. Okay, Hunter. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor would probably be the only one that I'd be interested in, honestly. Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon. Otherwise, I'm just holding Josh Jacobs. But like I said, guys, we have caught up on questions. I need to go and finish editing this YouTube video so I can get some sleep before traveling to East Lansing tomorrow Frizz came in with the last second question, so we'll answer this, and then we're going to be getting up out of here. He said, what about Calvin Ridley at flex if Will Levis is out? I mean, I can't bank on Calvin Ridley. I really can't, Frizz. I can't tell you that in good conscience, especially knowing who's the backup quarterback right now. They got rid of Malik Willis. So I'm trying to even remember, is it Mason Rudolph? Like, I don't feel good about Calvin Ridley this week, bro. I don't think it's a sneaky start. I wouldn't be leaning in that way. Oh my goodness. Kyle with a last second Hail Mary question to come into the chat. You said, do you think Kupp will be limited if he plays? I think he might be limited, but I still think even with the lack of snaps, he'd still definitely, there's value. There's value there that I'm starting Kupp if he does play. And then Hunter said, yes, I would do Brian Robinson for Josh Jacobs if I could. I would say Brian Robinson for me is ranked lower rest of the season, but it's close enough. And then Squid said, would you trade Marvin Harrison Jr. for Scary Terry? Yes, give me Scary Terry. The offense is humming. Cliff Kingsbury is getting everybody involved. I feel very good about that if you can do that deal there, Squid. Like I said, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in for all these questions. Oh my goodness, you guys are piling in the questions when I'm trying to get my butt out of here. You said need more of an upside play rather than a floor play this week at quarterback. Kyler, Stafford, Dalton, Danny Dimes. Yeah, I'm still going with Kyler. Kyler's going to have to rush to have them in this game, so I feel confident there, Nino, with Kyler as my rest of the season. You said 4 point, yeah. Yeah, give me Kyler there, Nino, for sure. But like I said, guys, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thanks so much for supporting the stream. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Like I said, guys, we will be putting out a stash video tomorrow. If you guys haven't already, make sure you tune in to the breakouts and sleepers video I put out earlier. Hit a like button if on that. If you haven't already, Raul, I would be going with Kupp over Dell. That's who I would be going with. But like I said, guys, appreciate everyone for tuning into the channel. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm answering every start sit question still. So if you want to go into another video, I will answer that start sit question tomorrow. Have a good Saturday, everyone, and I will catch you tomorrow on tomorrow's video.